Okay, so normally we do a great big cold open at the beginning of these episodes, but this is going to be one of those sticky subjects, so we kind of got to throw a disclaimer on this one. So, hi, it's Adam, of course, and I'm with Megan and Terry, and we are the whitest panel of DMs ever, unless Brad was here. If Brad was here, he would add some mayonnaise to the shade. But I just want to start off by saying, yes, we are discussing humans. Yes, there are many sort of descriptions in both the Player's Handbook and the Sword Coast Adventures Guide about kind of what you can expect physically from the humans. There are definitely ideas and tendencies that are pulling from different regions of Earth as touchstones that people are using. This can be seen as pointing out the differences between real races, and what we're going to do is focus on the stuff that is printed in the 5th edition material, and we understand that Wizards of the Coast has given us the most inclusive possible edition that they could. This has been far better than any of the previous things that they've published. We don't have Oriental Adventures anymore, which was something from 3.5.
Well, yeah.
So they're being very progressive, both for the LGBT community and for people of different ethnicities and people of color and genders. And anyway, they're doing a great job. But how do you talk about the variety of people without touchstones? And physical touchstones are ways that people use. So please be aware that we are super hyper aware that this is a very touchy subject, and we are not equipped with the appropriate language to handle it. So we're going to muddle through this and do our best as we cover one of the most popular races of Dungeons and Dragons. I wish they'd said species, but
so what's everybody else under here? Sub races? Because that doesn't sound good either.
Sub races is what it's is what it's called. So. Anyway,
Dear Wizards of the Coast.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a huge push on Reddit right now about are orcs and half-orcs racist? Can you have an evil race? And what is free will? And are we pigeonholing people? And we are going to set aside that entire conversation and not get into that shit.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, we are not qualified. We don't have the language. We don't have the personal history or the ethnic history or anything to be able to accurately have any sort of comment on that. So we apologize in advance if we're a little obtuse. You can, of course, reach us at info@itsmimic.com if you have any comments or complaints or anything, and we will, of course, keep show notes updated as they come. And we're going to try to stay as politically correct as possible. It just occurred to me that this is also the most ethnically diverse because we have someone from a different country and our only female on the podcast as well.
We're making it work as best as we can.
When this started, as 3 friends that just happened to play D&D together, it didn't seem like we were going to have this much responsibility.
So please do bear with us. We're going to do our best. And welcome to humans.
Welcome to the It's a Mimic podcast with your DMs, Adam, Terry, and Megan.
Welcome to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, the roundtable Dungeons and Dragons discussion where you never know what you're going to get. I'm Adam, and with me are Megan and Terry, and today we're talking about humans. So, guys, when I said weeks ago that we're going to do an episode on humans, there's a shit ton of things to read about this. Were you surprised? Like at the sheer amount of info that is out there about humans?
I think I was surprised at how much detail there was. We were discussing earlier that, you could do it as a variety of skin tones and eye colors and just just mix and match as though you're building a character on a video game. But I didn't realize that there was so much history to the variety of humans that there is in D&D. So I was surprised by the amount of content.
Yeah, because I feel like with the humans, they're very separated from each other. So everyone has their own lore. So each one had something different to read about, something different to learn. And it was, to your point, very specific about it was ruled by this person at this time. It was ruled by this person at this time. And then these two were at war.
Everybody's covering
these
their
two
own
didn't
ass.
like each other. And I'm just like, this is the human race right now.
I know, maybe in a way it's a perfect timing to do this episode.
Yeah. Oh. So it was just a lot to read for learning about them individually, trying to remember who was who for a while. So.
Yep, and for the people at home, we're only covering the ones in the Sword Coast.
Yeah.
Right, so this is Forgotten Realms and Sword Coast Adventures Guide only. That's where we got our resources from. So if there are human settlements down in the Underdark, or you are thinking Eberron or Ravnica, we're not touching that shit today. We're just trying to keep it to the base Forgotten Realms, Sword Coast humans, because, my God, there's enough of them. So, I guess the first thing to talk about is the fact they're the most recent race to appear in the Forgotten Realms.
Right.
Right. Everything else seems to have a longer history, but they show up and they've got kind of a reputation because they have short lifespans that focus on conquest and trade. They're innovators and achievers. They're pioneers. They're very, very, very ambitious. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's one thing that you keep coming across in all of the human lore, is the fact that they're coming up almost out of nowhere, coming into a region and developing that region for themselves and building borders and walls and castles and kingdoms and towns, and they move in and they spread very quickly.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a typical human. It says that right in the book, physically speaking. So there's a wide variety of skin tones and eye colors and hair color and builds. It's funny because they actually will mention in the book that these people from this region tend to be slender, or these ones are tall and muscular. And so they do point out the physicality difference as well, which I was surprised to see, right? It's almost like they discourage you from having a short person from this area or a fat guy from over there, right? Like it's
impossible.
Yeah,
genetics, they're strong.
Right, which creates a couple of questions that I have, but they do talk about how they're adaptable. The human race is incredibly adaptable. When they go to different places and different regions, they change radically, both in their physicality and in what they can accomplish.
Is that over a few short generations or within a lifetime?
I think it's implied. The Forgotten Realms timeline is long.
Right.
It's very, very long, to the point where it's called the Forgotten Realms because there are entire kingdoms and civilizations that have been lost. And the idea of going on dungeon delves and exploring ancient ruins is inherent in Dungeons and Dragons, and that's why the Forgotten Realms is the way that it's built, so that you can go digging and finding ancient treasures and old magics and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Right? And so the idea that there are a lot of things that have longer lifespans than us is a very Tolkien kind of feel to it, especially because that's the big romantic subplot of Aragorn, right? And Arwen, is the fact that he has a short lifespan, and it's only 200 years because he's a special kind of human, right? But she could live forever, and that's like a major issue in Lord of the Rings, and that you can really feel the echo of that in common fantasy games, specifically D&D. So, but as adaptable and ambitious as humans are, they're also opportunistic, incredibly so. They will jump into certain areas with other races out there and adopt and innovate based on what other people have done. So they will move into maybe a region where there have been giants that have gone extinct, and they will then take over that region and then make those ruins work for them, even though they're too large, right? Or they will incorporate elven technology or magic into their daily lives very, very quickly. They tend to live for the present, but they also plan for the future. Because they have short lifespans, there's not this huge arcing idea of, I'm going to devote 800 years of study into this one. Like, no, man, I got 25 minutes, right? I want to know all this stuff, write it down in a book so I can read it later, but I've only got a certain amount of time. We got to go.
I will pay someone else to write this down for me.
Yeah. Put my name on a plaque somewhere.
Yeah, but it is definitely I feel like it's a sense of desperation of making your mark on the world.
Legacy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
all about
legacy, and like they will do what they can as fast as they can because they only have a certain amount of time, and they leave it to their legacy to continue it on for them.
Everybody wants to be remembered.
Yes.
Yeah, and they actually talk about how they build institutions, right? Because you cannot sit there and guard a sacred temple or landmark or item for the next 1,000 years to make sure that evil doesn't get it. So you make an order of knights to do it, to hand down the legacies, like you guys said. So, and humans are big on causes, on having a cause to defend and go to war with, and where you can picture elves going, yeah, that sucks. I'm gonna live in my tree though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Humans will go, oh my God, we're doing that. All right, everybody, grab your swords. We're going humans are very mob mentality in a lot of ways.
Oh God,
right?
yeah, I deal with it every day.
All day, every day. They captured that really well in this. That's what we do.
But that's right. We touched on that when we discussed elves, though, previously, where they've seen it so often and so many times. It's like, the humans are doing that again. This generation of humans is upset about that thing. Remember 500 years ago when they were upset about that before?
Yeah. It's the ebb. They understand the ebb and flow, whereas humans are like in the moment. Right?
Yeah. It's almost like humans don't have any sort of like racial memory about stuff, whereas elves will write a beautiful 10-day long poem that they will sing, and everyone will know it and memorize it because they got the time to do it. And humans are like, yeah, get to the end. What's the point of it?
I'll frame it and put it on my wall. That's nice.
Yes. Now, they can be xenophobic. It says that right in the...
Humans can?
Yeah, it says that... Raise your hand if you're surprised. But in the D&D world in Faerun, they are usually inclusive. So when you have a human settlement, it is not unusual to see gnomes and elves and dwarves and tieflings and dragonborn. If there are, you have those races in D&D that are like the outcast races, like the ASMRs that hide themselves and the tieflings that are scorned and whatnot. Humans don't give a shit. As a general rule, unless they're weirdly superstitious about something, they don't care. Come on in. Will you contribute to our society? Yes? Cool. Let's keep moving. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, there's no typical human names. I was having trouble really grasping in my head the size of the Sword Coast and Faerun and the continent and all of this that's going on, and the landscape and how big are the kingdoms and how old. And it's very strange trying to wrap your brain around what these travel times are. It is there, but there is no real concept of... You know how the name John exists in like 7 different languages, right? Like there's
and like Kim as well.
Yeah, right. And there are
one of my D&D characters right now is named Kim.
Oh yeah. But there doesn't seem to be a constant idea. Like there's so many different cultures that there's no consistent naming scheme all the way through it. Some of them only have one name, or some of them have surnames before given names, and there's quite a bit out there. So normally you can just assume that the Scottish-sounding dwarven name is kind of on par. No one's making a French dwarf as a general rule. There's no reason why you can't, but you don't have a whole lot of dwarves named Pierre.
Ideas. I can feel the energy coming from this side of the room that he would like to do that. But in some of my readings, even in some of the things that I was specifically like looking up into, it said specifically in some of them that they actually adopt and adapt names that they just like the sound of.
Yeah.
So they don't have a naming convention because they're just like, ooh, I like that. Right? Like even in real life, my mom found my name walking at like a credit scroll from her favorite, what is it called? Soap opera.
Really?
And that's how she found my name. Like, legitimately. So I feel like that is complete human nature. Like, I like the sound of that. I'm gonna do that. They didn't really care where it came from, what it is. They just liked the sound. And then they just chose it and adopted it.
Well, how many people in the real world have biblical names that aren't religious, too, right?
Yeah.
Like just, we like this. We've heard it a lot. There was a show one time. How many fucking baby Khaleesi's exist right now?
Oh, my God.
Right? Like, it's... I get annoyed with new common trendy names, but it's a thing people do.
I think it's that as well. I think humans, like in our world, on Earth, we like to draw from not necessarily just other cultures, but other things to like honor it. For example, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie about the kids, The Good Boys, and one of them, the kids, is 10 years old and he's named Thor. Because clearly his mom watched the first Thor movie 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and then there's like Hermione's.
The timeline checks out, yeah.
There's Hermione's everywhere, and now there's Katniss and stuff like that, yeah.
Oh yeah, Katniss was a big one too. But yeah, I think that's the thing, is like humans in general in our time go with trends. And I feel like they're adopting that into the lore, that humans will just take the trend.
And I can only, I'm vaguely aware of this. I'm sure, Terry, you will have a better insight than I do. But I just made a joke about people doing trendy names.
Right.
But the freaking British monarchy does that too, where you have a name until you suddenly rise into power and suddenly you're George the fourth, or
It's often their middle names.
is it? Is
It's
that how it
often
works?
It's often their middle names. Yeah, is where that'll come from. And I find
Because you could be like Jeffrey for your entire princedom, and then but suddenly you'll
be George or
Yeah.
Charles or something like
Yeah.
that. It's usually one of their middle names is where that comes from. And people from the UK as well were very fixed on what is a first name, what is a last name. And that's something definitely in North America got switched around. That's why, and we won't do that. Like, my rule for my children when I have them is no last names for first names. So no Jackson, no Taylor, no Hunter, no MacArthur, or whatever you want to call it. Like, what in North America, there's a lot of what I would consider last names for first names.
yeah.
Taylor.
Yeah, now you got
Wow.
me.
Megan's like, you just said 7 first names.
You just said a lot of first names.
But no, I'm going through it right now, and you're absolutely right. And I'm like, okay, so there's Mason,
I know all of those
and
people.
Griffin,
Yeah.
and remember, I used to teach acting, right? And so all these kids were like 8 years old, 7 or 8 years ago when I was
Yeah.
teaching, and there was nothing but Masons and Griffins and Hunters and
Which was weird for me when I first came to Canada in 2009. People would introduce themselves. I thought for a short while that some people in North America introduced themselves by their last name first.
Bond, James
Like
Bond.
that. I
Yeah.
honestly thought that was happening. And I was like, okay, Hunter, what's your first name? Hunter is my... Okay, but you know last names come from trades typically. Hunter, Smith, Fletcher. You understand that, right? Okay, so now you have a last name for a first name.
I didn't even know where to go with that. All right, moving along.
Names, humans,
Yeah,
done.
okay.
It's
Check.
confusing.
Yeah. So one of the things that they say, they have this little table off to the side about how I forget what it says because I don't have it directly in front of me, but it says something along the lines of humans are everybody's second best friends. Right. So I mean, elves like elves the best
After dogs.
but
That's what I was gonna say.
it's funny. I said this earlier to Dave because I was hanging out with him, and he said, "Yeah, right," because everybody likes dogs and no one likes cats. And then he and I got in a very long argument. Very long argument. Okay, hold on. We're pausing. Terry, dog person or cat person?
I'm both because I grew up with both and I appreciate both for different reasons. I think people that don't like cats because they look at cats and expect a dog, and they're not.
Megan?
Cats.
Yep. Okay, cool. Me too. Dan is a dog person, so let's get him after this.
Yeah.
It says that everybody likes humans like to a point, right? You're never going to be adopted into their culture necessarily, but it was really cool dealing with you guys. We don't hate you on sight because you're a human. Like elves and dwarves have that tension, right? And elves and orcs, so half orcs will have that certain amount of tension. Nobody really has that with humans as a general rule. If you're a human and you're a dick, they personally put that upon you, the person, not the race as a general rule. It actually says that there are 9 different ethnic groups in Faerun, but there are over a dozen more, and I'm reading through them going, where do they draw the line in what is an ethnic group? Because we got a shit ton of them listed in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide and the Player's Handbook. Let's get into the stats for a moment, okay? Grab a pen, because this gets intense.
You didn't tell us to...
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Terry. Grab a... What do they call it in... A quill?
Let me get my ink and my quill.
I love how you said it, and you were just so clearly talking down to me. Like from the fucking past.
All right. So, first and foremost, we already understand what a human lifespan is. They do not change that in D&D. There's no preference for alignment. We are medium-sized, and like the definition of things that are a little bit shorter and a little bit taller are also medium. Our speed is 30 feet, which is a standard. We know common plus 1 additional language, and all of your abilities increase by 1. And that's what it is to be a human.
There we go, and that's humans.
Yep.
Episode
over.
You know common and you poorly know one other language. I'm sure you offend elves every day. With how
You say it
pronounce
without
it.
the accent.
Bonjour.
An asshole.
Exactly.
Bonjour. Salute.
Comment t'appelles to.
Oh my
See,
God.
come saw.
And they're like, nobody says that.
If we still had listeners in Montreal, because I think we offend them all of the time, then they just twitch.
Let's remind you we're from Canada.
All right, yeah, we're allowed to do this, okay?
I have a French friend. It's okay.
Stop. Stop it.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
This is why we can't have nice things.
All right, so But that's it. As a basic stat block, there's not a whole lot in there. Obviously, we don't get dark vision. Obviously, we don't get super dexterity or constitution, or we're a little bit better at just about everything, like jack of all trades, but not really specifically one thing, where a lot of the other races, and as a matter of fact, all of them are. They are very good at one thing and one thing specifically, and they get a whole bunch of flavor text and abilities, and we don't get that.
It's true.
I almost feel like we should have -1 to everything, because I think compared to the other races, we are shit at stuff. I tried to take my dog out to go to the bathroom the other day and dared to walk across the grass with no shoes on and no socks on.
So delicate.
I made it, I don't know, 6 feet before I dropped to my knees in agony. Like, how do we even survive?
I like the idea that humans don't like to admit their faults either. So I'm imagining the dark vision. You go into a cave and everybody's just wandering around and they just try to wander without lighting their torch because they see that everybody else is doing it, so why can't I do it? So and also they just walk into a wall like, hey man, can you see? Yeah, I'm good.
Just want to look at that wall really closely for a minute.
Yeah. Thought I saw something. I didn't. It was fine.
So how do we feel about this? Is that good? Is that powerful? +1 to everything, but that's what you get.
In the
and
game,
a language.
mechanically speaking, when you're building a character, it's fantastic. You know, if you roll all odds and you get a +1, that's amazing. But I don't agree with it. I think that it doesn't resonate to real life at all.
Yeah, I really feel like, I don't know, put 1 into 2 things, which is pretty normal.
Yeah.
And here are a bunch of skill proficiencies.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Like, build your custom character from the ground up, right?
Yeah.
So, or, I don't know, maybe no ability increase, but your proficiency is doubled for your entire... Like, I don't know how this works, right? Like,
it's a tough one to explore. I mean, +1 to everything is simple. Sure, fine. It's not really game breaking, I guess, but it's not really true, is it? You know, but yeah, sure. I mean, as a player, I like them because I like the vulnerability in that, and I kind of like the struggle and the idea that they're probably by some of the older, longer living races seen as almost kind of childlike and immature in how excited and riled up they get about certain things. And isn't it weird how their ideas seem to change every 4 years? They change their mind on what they now think is important, and just because somebody else said it over
Every
here.
20 minutes, let's be real.
Every 20 minutes.
No, carbs are in, gluten's out.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Where were you?
The elves are like taking notes, but they're confused. I don't understand. 3 years ago they were fine, and now 72% of the population is mysteriously allergic to gluten. I have no idea.
What has happened?
What do they eat? I don't know. They change their milk every month. There's a different nut that they're milking.
I heard that they're milking oats now. I don't even... Where did that come from?
I'm sorry. There's a different nut that they're milking is now my favorite dairy club. So, no, I think that you are absolutely right. Humans probably to everyone else look ridiculous in how non-committal they are.
I think with everything, even their fashion, right? Because we talk about legacy and stuff like that. So I like the idea of how humans, their fashion probably always changes, but dwarves have been wearing the same shit for like 600 years.
Yeah.
Oh, and like, this is my father's ancestral battle armor, like, and his father before him, and you can't even name the people in your family tree back that far, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And the bard's going, this is Versace. So...
It's like, how dare you? I don't know. I feel like the fact that you do get +1 plays to the idea that they really can't make up their minds about what they want in life. And I feel like that is very intuitive to what the human being is.
Do humans, so humans have generational ADD?
Yes,
is that,
absolutely.
Is that what we're saying?
Well,
because they only have so much time to level themselves up. That, so they start out and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to dabble in everything until I find out what I want, which is every team.
It's the people that go to college and they sit there and go, I'm my 3rd year into medical school.
I've graduated from college 3 times. I still don't know what I'm doing.
Well, it's funny you guys both said the word generation then. It got me thinking, like, the longer living races, like the dwarves is a great example. They're so loyal to the previous generations, whereas in human society, we can't fucking wait to shit on the last generation fucking baby boomers.
Okay, boomers.
Yeah. And now millennials, we're now old as millennials. Gen Z are like, are you guys okay? Do you understand TikTok? And I'm like, no, I'm scared.
There was a time where I think it was like a year ago, millennials were getting shit on, and now we're like doing really well.
Yeah, exactly. It was all millennials, you don't know what you're doing. Well, thanks for fucking the earth up, baby boomers. We're trying to figure it out. out from here. But that doesn't happen with dwarves. Okay, they're loyal to Bruno the Third from 600 years ago.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Bruno with 2 U's.
So I guess it fits then, the +1 across the board. I find it's lackluster, but
Sure.
It fits. I don't. Yeah, as a player, it makes sense, and it's great, and it's wonderful. But it's also just indicative to why do they get the advantage of that versus another race?
Well, okay, so that brings us to the variant.
Right.
Now, the variant is pretty much exactly the same, except instead of you getting 1 ability increase to everything, you get to choose 2. Right? So you can put a +1 in 2 different ability scores. Additionally, you get 1 bonus skill proficiency, which feels a little bit more human to me.
Yeah.
And 1 feat, which I guess is you going off to college and get really good at one thing for 4 years and then fucking off and doing something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So do we like that better? Does that fit better?
It's the
think
one
so.
that I choose every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I prefer the variant. I played the standard way when I played my human. It's playing the variant I think is better because humans are all different. We're into different things, right? And I think it allows you to channel what you want that person to be into instead of just being, hey, you're averagely good at everything.
Okay, so I want to grab dice. I have a couple questions for you guys.
Okay.
All right. So my first question is, and I know that they can do anything, but when you think of a character class, which one is the one that screams human to you?
We all know where this is going. Should we say all we said that?
Champion fighter.
5, 8, which was what I played for my. I loved it.
Terry, you and I got to roll off.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
we got 5.
5.
I got a 3. All right, so Megan, you're up first.
Usually I will go like a fighter or a warrior or like a fighting class versus a magical class usually. So that's me.
Yeah.
Like well, then again, I did a paladin human for like the last 2 years, but
Yeah. I don't mind and it's not too common, I don't mind the idea of a human cleric, but coming from an area where there's humans where they don't believe him, that he can talk to his god, because that seems so very human.
yeah.
Because clerics, they're not just like other priests and that kind of thing, they're very special, but the idea of having a class where the other people in that race don't believe that it's real, I think would be phenomenal. So a human cleric I like the idea of, and I think it still works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I go through the list, right? And I think about, what, like, all right, real quick. I'm going to list off the classes. What do you guys think of? All right, let me see if I can do this in order. Artificer? What race do you think of? Just quick.
Like gnomes.
Rapid fire. Gnomes?
Sure.
Yeah. Barbarian?
Like, Goliath, I guess.
Giants,
Yeah.
Titans.
Yeah, human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bard? I think half elf or
Yeah.
tiefling.
Yeah.
Right?
Or just elf.
Tiefling.
Yeah.
Cleric?
Dwarf.
Yeah. Pretty typically a dwarf. Druid?
Elf.
Standard seems to be an
Yeah.
elf. You end up with a genasi or something every once in a while. But
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Furbolgs, right?
Yeah. Yeah, druid, yeah, Furbolg, yeah.
Fighter?
Human.
Human.
Monk?
Elf or human.
I was going to say tiefling. I don't know why.
Remarkable would be good. Nightcrawler.
Paladin?
Human.
Human, yeah.
Well, that gives us Ranger. That's elf again.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rogue?
Elf. Half elf.
Yeah. Elf, half elf, yeah.
Sorcerer?
Human.
Megan?
Maybe elf. I feel like we're saying elf too often.
Elf is like everything, though, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
sorcerer can be like tiefling as well.
I was going to say like
Yeah.
a tiefling or even like, I was going to say goblin. I don't know why, but it just fit for me.
Well, that's the game. You can make whatever you want. Really.
That's true.
That's the
That's what I
beauty of it.
wanted to do.
Warlock?
Tiefling.
Tieflings. Like, yeah.
Wizard?
Human. Elf. Yeah.
Elves.
Yeah.
Half
Oh,
elf.
gnomes. Gnome wizard is quite common as well.
So it's either really fighty or kind of study magic-ish,
Yeah.
right? Like that's kind of the tropes for humans.
It's more fighty. It's like paladin and human, really. The ones that lead
the
power.
only reason why in my mind I stay away from doing the magic pieces because I feel like if you were going to learn magic, it takes a lot longer to learn than wielding a sword.
Yeah.
So, like, it takes years and years and years to master spells in my mind.
Well, that's why we have old wizards, but like warlocks need to get it from someone else, and clerics as well. and even paladins and druids to a lesser degree are getting imbued with powers. And,
yeah, but that's how I see if a human was to have magical powers, it's because it was either forced upon them or they got it really quickly because they needed that.
Or they can play the guitar.
Yeah,
Yes.
they can play guitar. But I think you're right. I think humans are more likely to go for the way that they can get it quickly. I mean, that's why all my company training videos have to be under 6 minutes, because we have no attention span.
And that's how it works, right?
So read these tomes and learn magic. Is there an audiobook? That'd be the question I'm asking. What's the YouTube link?
Yeah. So sometimes if you're playing a human character and some evil deity comes down and be like, hey, would you like this magical power? And I'm like, am I playing a human? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel like, you would take a group of superstitious humans that would see somebody over there that's 400 years old that can wield magic and looks a little bit different, and they're going to look at each other and go, we can learn the magic, but pitchforks? Everybody? Pitchforks?
Yeah.
Yes? Stab it? Yes.
Yeah, yes.
We don't understand it.
Hit
we
it
should
with the
kill
pointy end.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, which brings me to my next question, because you two are the only two people I know that have played a human in D&D.
Really?
Yeah,
Actually.
in the last, forever.
Okay.
So, same order, Meg, why did you pick a human? You had a paladin, but why did you pick a human?
I specifically remember a moment when we first started playing and I introduced my character. Terry actually said to me, we're playing D&D, a world of magic, and you're playing a fucking human. I will remember that to this very day.
That happens often where other people remember what I've said to them and I don't.
I will never forget milking a nut. So
Nut milking. No, honestly, I played it for the feat aspect. Because I really wanted a character that I knew what direction I wanted to go with when I first started playing it. Because I am very, very bad at paying attention to the direction my character is trying to go. Especially if you're playing a long campaign.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start out with a clear vision. And the only way to do that was to give it a feat, give it a purpose, and do that.
Yeah.
I ended up fucking that up and doing whatever the fuck I wanted anyways. But
welcome to D&D, yeah.
But that was how I knew I could get myself a good start. Not only I just like the fragility of humans, to be honest with you. The fact that they are constantly in the fear of dying because they only have a short lifespan, so they do have that attention to detail of wanting to make a name for themselves very quickly, right? And they will be quick to decide to go on an adventure. Where we talked about this and the elves and the other ones where they've been living for 600 years. So what's going to entice them to go on an adventure?
Yeah.
Right, humans will be like, let me go.
Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute, let me out there, right? So
Yeah, and now you say that, I'm also sitting here thinking about when an elf or a dwarf or a gnome, these long-lived species, a dragon even, when they end up dying, that is hundreds of years cut off of a life. When a human ends up dying, we lost a couple decades.
yeah.
Right? And I can see how the other races don't see human death as that tragic.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you guys were only here for you're here for a short time and a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
Right? And so
I kind of see it. Can you imagine the dwarf and the elf and the party and stuff like that? Look, can we take the morning off? My human died last night. It's not the dog. Okay, will you be able to make it in? I'll be in for the afternoon. I want a couple of hours just to collect his things and probably just
put it in a cardboard box and
Yeah.
shove it in the closet.
Yeah, exactly.
Just really want to just get the vision out of here.
I have to make a really heartfult Facebook post, but
Yeah.
I will be in this
Yeah.
afternoon.
Everybody be nice to.
I have to wait until noon for the good lighting for the photo, so
Exactly.
Terry, why'd you pick a human?
I think because for me D&D is one big performance, and I am very confident in role playing that aspect of the game, as I am in any kind of performance and presenting, providing I know my content very well. If I'm confident in the content, I'm good at that. And humans, I know very well. It would have been awful for me to go into a D&D as a fairly new player, pretty much fresh, other than the odd one shot, to go in with a group of people that played for a long time, and for me to go, haha, look, I'm an elf, and everybody go, that's not what elves do, and I'll go, well then, I don't know. But humans, I'm pretty confident I can get that right. So for me, it was just to eliminate a variable that I might not understand too well.
Are they the new player race to play?
I would say so.
I think it's a great introductory race to play.
Yeah, I feel like the introductory races for a lot of people that are going into it are your elves, because anyone who's watched Lord of the Rings has a base knowledge of what an elf looks like and is.
Yeah.
Your gnomes, your dwarves, and then your humans.
Yeah, you don't want to go and play in a furball.
And you run in playing a tiefling, and you're just ah!
Exactly. The German accents, that's good. Okay, you're Nightcrawler, great, yeah.
Yeah, get there. Yeah, you did it.
Okay, so look, I am a dungeon master, and It's all I do. I find that
You say that a lot, so I feel like there's some pent up aggression in the fact that you just want to play a game.
I just need a really good cry.
Okay.
But
Adam's not allowed to play because he ruins it.
you're not wrong. But let me tell you sometime, Terry, about what my next character is going to be, because Dan is in for a world of hurt. But I have made hundreds of NPCs, and whenever I need something that is simple to interact with very, very quickly or overly complicated, I always use a human for it, because you have a touchstone immediately and you don't have an immediate idea of exactly what this should be. You know what a human is the first time you walk in and see them. You may not know what a furbolg is the first time that you bump into one, right? Or an ASMR, or like what does a Eric Cochran society look like? Yeah, right.
I imagine
like,
there's shit everywhere.
just birds. And so, but with the human kingdom, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You walk in and you get it. You can have more political intrigue because that's like, you know that the queen and her handmaidens are going to each have a unique personality. Whereas what's the difference between each one of these 7 dwarven handmaidens?
Yeah, right.
Right? It's just easier for you to wrap your brain at first glance at what a human is. So for either a quick, early, simple touchstone, or hey, we're going to dig in really deep into something crazy, I've gone with a human. We get that in most of the modules as well. I went digging through Waterdeep, Dragon Heist, not long ago, and there are so many NPCs, and easily 80% of them are humans.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Waterdeep is a huge multicultural, diverse city in the Forgotten Realms, and there are almost, like, it is shocking how few there are. Most of them are human commoners that are lawful neutral, right? And so, like, is that the stereotype as well? Is that humans are uncomplicated?
Yeah, I would say.
I think we think we're complicated.
We overcomplicate
I
ourselves.
think we overcomplicate ourselves, but I think it comes from a lot of things. I think it's striving to be different. Everybody wants to be unique, but humans by their nature are also very tribal. And it doesn't matter what your tribe is. It may be the oat milk tribe, or it may be
Don't
whatever.
even get me started
it may
on
be
oat
whatever,
milk.
right? But I think we all try and be different, but it's funny how all of the people that are trying to be different in a certain way all kind of go together. So I think we think that we're complicated, but to other people, we're probably not.
Very simple.
We're probably very predictable.
Okay, which I guess is why they've had to break us down into 1,000 different flavors of human for 5th edition, for the Forgotten Realms. So before we jump into that, though, let's take a quick break, okay? Any last thoughts before we do that? You guys both just shook your head. Megan didn't even do that. She just sat there and stared off, so...
Humans be humans.
Megan looks like she's about to throw up.
I have to pee, so I'm waiting for the break.
Break. We just start talking again. It's a break for the people listening.
Yeah, we are going to now pause for...
Well, fuck you. I'm just This is why we can't have nice things.
Hello Internet, it's Terry here. I'm listening to the special series on Eberron that Dave is running, and it's completely fantastic. I like how he's doing a deep dive on all the crazy unique parts of the world, and he's really giving a tour of all the weird places and strange mentalities in the high adventure steampunk setting. What I like about steampunk is it's as though we've gone back to the Industrial Revolution, the Victorian period, but it's like in the real world we've discovered things in a different order. So now we have this high fantasy, incredible, fantastical look at the world, but some things seem so mundane, so it's like the world has been twisted into a strange and unique order. If steampunk and dinosaurs and pulp adventures interest you, but you know nothing about Eberron, or even if you're looking to start a campaign there, check out the series on iTunes, Spotify and more, and don't forget to set up your subscriptions and auto downloads. Okay, back to the show.
Okay, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty. We separated it more or less by thirds. Anyway, we're going to get into all the sub-races for humans now. And anyway, so let's roll initiative. We're going to go through these. Let's try to hit these relatively quickly, or we're going to be here all day. Well, you bumped me up, but I've only got to a 10. Terry, you're on a 3. Megan, you go first.
Excellent.
I've rolled over a 5 tonight.
All right, so we're going to start with the Bedine or Bedine. I don't know.
Oh, there's so many words I'm going to get wrong. The internet is going to be more blowing up about how I pronounce words.
Let me say this. If you don't know what we're talking about, check the show notes for spellings.
Yeah.
So, and I will put them in the order we talk about them.
Deal. There you go. So, the Bedine are kind of like a clan-based society. They kind of reside in the southern on the Rosh. On
Some words that you already expected to not pronounce.
Southern. Yeah.
Southern.
Basically the desert.
Okay, all right.
Is where they kind of reside. I kind of think of these guys, like, it reminds me of Dune. Just because of some of the things that I read. But due to this, they are dark-skinned and dark-haired group and in fact, like, having blue eyes was thought of being, like, you are a mixed blood. So that's why I was thinking of Dune with those weird, like, bright blue eyes.
Do all of us have blue eyes? I think we do, don't we?
I do, yeah.
Yeah?
Uh-oh.
It's not getting any better, is it?
Yeah, it's true.
Hold on, we'll call Brad. No, shit. Dave? Fuck. Dan has hazel. That's as close we're going to get to the different color.
That's true. Anyways, these guys, over time, they did end up building steady settlements, and only a few clans kind of remain now as their true nomadic, like, roots. In fact, these are the kind that they only speak to outsiders for a purpose, so whether it's survival or if they're doing a trading or something like that. So anything of use, they will reach out, but otherwise they do kind of keep to themselves. They are primarily... Oh my god, my voice is changing.
You're hitting puberty right now.
They are primarily male-dominated. In fact, they follow a leader called the Sheik, who state that basically their word is the law for them. I almost think of, like, the Viking Earl, if I'm thinking of the way the clan kind of operates, is they have one person in their clan that is the head, and then they're all multiple clans with multiple sheiks in their area. They are very communal to their clan, so gluttony and greed and things like that don't actually exist because everybody gets what they need to survive, and they're very communal that way.
Cool.
Everything is for the horde, basically, is how they work. They are also known for, they understand death as what death is. So as we talked about how the fragility of humans, they only live so long, death for them is understood. So they basically mourn for a day and move on. So for me, they kind of resonate as, like, your classic warriors, your fighters. In fact, they don't utilize magic at all. They believe magic is a gift from the gods. So the only people that would have magic are those that are above them, or maybe the Sheik would have some magic. So they are more your warrior type fighter base. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's the Bedine.
What kind of inspiration are you getting off of them, like, as far as a real-world analog?
I would think Viking clan. Or, like, I also thought of, like, if you're going to put it into, like, a regular fantasy world, like the Khaleesi's and the...
yeah, I felt almost Dothraki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember the...
You said Sheik and desert, and I'm like, is this a Persian? Is that, like... I often look to the names to figure out what inspiration... Because they're using real-world analogs and touchstones for people to be able to wrap their brain around this in a paragraph and a half, right? And so they are using these as touchstones. I don't personally, but again, this is the thing, I don't know. I am not qualified to have an opinion about this, but I feel like they are using this not from a look at the differences, but here is something that we have included these kind of people from the real world, and we want to include you in this game because we're not all fat white nerds in the basement like we used to be, right?
Yeah,
like, so.
or are right now. I'm just
feel personally attacked. Yep. So,
but yeah, no, I kind of agree that they kind of make sure that there is some kind of a structural understanding of where they're come from, what they look like, and why they're there, and, you know, what they would need to survive. So if you are underneath the hot sun, you would wear a head wrap of some kind. If you were out and about and you were a warrior, like, you would have a certain type of clothing type. And I think they do speak to those a little bit, and some of them when they go into detail. This one didn't have a lot of details on, like, their clothing choices or anything like that. But I do feel that they do pull from that from a couple of different ones, too.
Okay. That puts me next, I believe. And I'm going to start off with the Chondathan culture. These are slender, tanned people with... I got a question. They keep saying the word tawny. I keep running into that. What is tawny? Is that
Lack
just like...
of muscle?
No. It's a color.
Like,
it's a color.
Is it color?
Like a tawny owl, right? Isn't it like a light brown?
That's what I was thinking. That's why I went with tan.
I was thinking scrawny.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
my bad.
Yep. Okay, so...
Lack of muscle.
Lack of muscle. Scrawny.
So they're slender, they're tawny. They've got brown to almost blonde hair somewhere in that region with green or brown eyes usually. You find them around the inner sea. And there's not a whole lot of information about them, despite the fact that there are lots of them and they're really around doing a lot of merchant trading and whatnot. You find a lot of Chondathan NPCs when you go through some of the modules, just because they're always coming in as a merchant or a traveler or someone from the inland sea or from the inner sea, kind of coming to the Sword Coast.
Setting up shop and then moving on.
Their names sound almost Nordic in inspiration. So I feel like these are your almost Scandinavian, but they're not blonde hair, blue eyes, right? It's green or brown eyes with brown to almost blonde hair. Like that's, I'm trying to find out what the inspiration for this one was. And but you look at the names and they are very much Nordic inspired. And just as a point of interest, we had a player who stole one of the last names from this group. One of the common last names is Tolstag, which was Jamie's.
I knew it was him.
Yeah, Norse mythology based barbarian, right?
Yeah.
So,
I always thought it was Ballbag, but fine.
You know what? You can keep thinking that. If
I called him Ballbag for the longest time.
well then,
Love it.
I have really very little else to say about these guys. There's not a whole lot that's written about them, but you do run into a lot of different NPCs, like I said, throughout the different modules. So it's interesting because the Waterdeep ones really tell you in the flavor text, as soon as you meet an NPC, exactly where they're from when they're a human, which kind of human this is.
Mine, I'm going to do the Arkaiun first. And my mind goes in two different places with these, but I'll explain them to you guys. So, Arkaiun are typically short in stature with tan skin and dark hair. The Arkaiun dwell primarily in Damaran, which is a warm plain off the shore of the Great Sea. They also dwell in Halruaan and the Shou. Many Arkaians lived under the yoke of drow slavery centuries ago, after a failed military campaign against the Dark Elves, which led to the eventual destruction of the Arkaian kingdom in Damaran. What they do as a practice is they meet at a sacred site every year and they recount the exploits of the year. So although they live in separate sort of communities, tribes, they come together and they kind of share knowledge. And as a practice, they also hunt lycanthropes as well, as a way of honoring their god. So there's two ways they kind of go. You can kind of go like, I imagine them as like lost or unknown civilizations, like out in the Amazon somewhere that come together and they meet at a sacred site every year. Or you can kind of imagine them as that typical kind of plain dwelling barbarian, maybe kind of Dothraki-ish, maybe.
It's funny, I was thinking of like Celtic druidic circles even coming together.
Yeah.
And their names, if you listen to their names, some of the male names are Hone, Rivon, Umbril, Zamar, Zeltabar, and then females is Glorious, Maeve. Maeve is the only one that kind of sounds like Irishy, you know.
That's why I'm thinking. I'm thinking Celtic.
But
now.
the rest of them sound like with the X's and the Z's. It's almost like kind of Persian or like Egyptian sounding or something. I mean, I don't know, but it's my brain goes off in different directions with these people. I'm not sure.
Do you like these?
I think I like the idea of, and because I know I've shit on like druids and stuff a lot, but I like the idea of the druid type people that will live off in like the rainforest or like the jungle or something somewhere, and then maybe emerge and come together once a year and go back out, because it makes a very interesting personalities that are not necessarily weird to themselves. It's just they're just hermits and loners, or their community rather lives separate from everybody else, and so it makes it interesting personalities. And I like interesting personalities in my D&D characters, as you all both well know.
Yes. All right, Megan, what's next for you?
I'll do the Calishite. Calishite.
You know, I'm sorry?
One more time?
That sounds like Scottish slang, right? That's Scottish Twitter. Megan's about to read Scottish Twitter.
Absolutely. They are shorter and slighter builds than in comparison to most humans, with like husky brown hair, eyes, and all that kind of stuff. They are located in the southwest of Faerun, places like and Tethyrian, but they do have their own place that they built called Calishite.
You know, points for trying. Like,
Sure.
goddamn, yeah. Please tell us how to pronounce these made-up words.
I know. They do believe that they are, one of their biggest strong beliefs is that they are part of the original clans that built large cities and strongholds, and they felt like they were like one of the original like sub-races of humans. So I find that they ended up being in almost every place possible. You will find the Calishite. So they are basically the descendants of the slaves of genies who ruled great empires in the south of the Marching Mountains.
Okay.
And after time, that power did dwindle, and they were able to free themselves from the genies, and they founded their own nation, which is, the Koramshan.
All right, one more time.
Koramshan.
Okay, yep.
And then since then, they expanded and migrated to some various regions that I kind of listed before. But as I said, they tend to be the ones that travel, I think, the most. Like, I feel like from what I've read, they tend to be everywhere at all times. They did have many, many wars with the Tethyrians, and they were also another race that tended to be dabbled everywhere in Faerun. And that's how they ended up in, like, mostly in and Tethyr, which is in, like, that southwest area on the coast.
They're giving me a real, like, nomads from the cradle of life in reality, like around the lower part of the Mediterranean that then branched out. And I feel like I'm getting that because you said genies.
Yeah.
Right. And just to kind of flavor some of their words and whatnot, but and the fact that they're old, one of the older versions of humans as well.
Yeah, which is why I find that if I was to do a character with these ones, I would think of your mages, your wizards, your sorcerers. Like, these are probably the ones that do have an innate magic ability just from their ancestry, like growing and growing and growing from what they learned and then passed down years and years and ages. So this is one of the ones to me that a human would make sense to have magic because it came from their ancestry.
You just totally hit me that it's bullshit that we don't have a genie warlock yet.
Boom!
There we go. That's one of the next patrons I want to see. Genie warlock.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay. My next one is the Damaran people. These guys are completely and totally boring and normal.
Yeah.
Here we go.
They're British, aren't they?
No, they're Russian, actually. But they've got moderate height with skin from tawny to fair. They have brown and black hair, mostly brown eyes. That's it. Oh, their names are vaguely Russian, Ukrainian, like in that kind of region of Earth. Is that? And you find them in the northwestern side of Faerun. So they're going to be up in the ice. These are going to be your almost. I've hit the nail on the head. I can't say anything more. They're Russian.
They're done.
Yep, there it is. Like they're going to be up around Icewind Dale and Neverwinter and up in the northwest portion where there's snow.
Would these be your wildlings?
Potentially, when it says that they have very tawny and dark all the way up to fair, I think of Jon Snow to what's his redheaded sidekick's name? Who's a wildling? Tormund?
Yeah.
Right?
What you meant is like...
Oh, Sam?
The girl? Yeah.
No.
The girl, yeah.
No. Sidekick, not side piece.
Okay, sorry. I misspoke.
So, but yeah, that's the flavor for these guys. But their names are all... one of them listed for the women is Olga.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
there we go. Yeah.
I would like to be named Olga.
You look like an Olga.
I feel like I could live up to it.
Yeah, so could Terry with a wig. Why'd you cut your hair, man?
I don't know, man. I used to train, I'm pretty sure she doesn't listen to this podcast, I used to train a young woman named Olga, and she was Russian, and she was, without doubt, top 5 most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life, ever.
Yeah.
And I find that Russian women are often very attractive. Russian men, I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened.
Vodka.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm going to do this is better every time we go on the next one, the Halruaan.
Sorry?
Halruaan? The Halruaan.
Yep.
Halruaan?
I gave you the wrong list to go over.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you did. The people of the mysterious and magical kingdom of Halruaan. The Halruaans are touched by magic, and many of them are talented in the art. They and their land vanished during the spell plague, but just as mysteriously returned in the Second Sundering. Okay, let's move past that. They have blonde or dark hair and olive complexions, black, brown, or green eyes. It makes me think Spanish like Spain, not like Mexico.
I was going to say like Greece.
I was going to say
somewhere around
Italian.
there.
Yeah, Mediterranean type. Yeah, their names, male names are typically Aldim, Chand, Malagost, Presmer, Sandru. I mean, what's that? I mean, how do you, based off of names, guess what it's supposed to be influenced by without insulting somebody? Because I might go, I mean, that sounds very Mediterranean to me.
And they're like, I'm sorry, no.
They're like, no, not at all.
I would never name somebody John, but thanks.
It's like that old baseball game that was made in Japan, and they made like American sounding names, and they're all
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Okay. So they're touched by magic, but their people are not necessarily just sorcerers. Some of them are learned in the arcane arts, so they have wizards as well. But then because they also are famous for having sky ships off in the mountains somewhere, it makes you think of artificers as well. So it makes you think that they have a vested interest in magic and kind of go about it in different ways. But when I think mountains and sky ships, I stop thinking Mediterranean and I start thinking, I don't know, Megan, what do I start thinking?
I'm not in your brain and I don't want to be there.
Sky ships? That's a safe bet.
In the mountains,
But in the mountains, I could go two ways with that. I could go almost like Scandinavian, like warships in the sky, or Tibet.
Or maybe actually, it's still thinking Italy, right? They have mountains, right, in their northern region.
Switzerland is right freaking there, right? The Alps are right beside Italy. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sure.
Cool.
Now I'm thinking like a crazy Austrian warlord or something.
There you go.
Sure.
Megan, what do you have next?
All right, I've got the Nars.
Oh, she gets the easy one.
I know, kind of.
I had a goblin player named Nar, so this is going to be weird for me.
I love it.
Yeah.
So these guys are the survivors of the Empire of Narfell, so I recommend if you ever want to look at history, look at the history of Narfell. It's pretty cool. But they are considered to be fierce barbarians. These are your fighters, your big, strong, buff guys. They're known across Faerun as some of the greatest horsemen, and of course breeding the greatest horses as well. So if you were to be trading and buying, you would probably buy war horses or farming horses from this clan. They're responsible for that. They are short and stocky humans, and they do have dark skin and jet black hair. They are found primarily in Great Dale, Narfell, Rashemi, and something called the Ride. I didn't have a chance to look into what the Ride was, unfortunately, but
it's a roller coaster.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. They did abandon their gods early in life and switched to worshipping demon lords.
Good, yes. Always a solid plan.
Yes.
It's never gone poorly, and I support it.
So if I was to build a character from the Nars, I would probably do something like a warlock or just a warlock nomad, because magic is kind of known with them, or just your basic warrior, your fighter. I would even throw down like a ranger or an archer.
A barbarian almost as well.
Well, that's one of the things that they're known for is their barbaric tendencies.
But we have like Ancestral Guardian and Zealots and stuff, which are barbarian paths, so that makes a little bit of sense here.
Yeah, it's true. But this is one of those like groups that you would not approach unless you have to. They do not really respect outsiders in any way, shape, or form. In fact, their neighboring areas kind of worry about the demonic like worshippings that go on, and they fear that demons will eventually rise.
I just pictured like their neighbors are Tom Hanks in The Burbs.
Yeah.
Right. It's like peeking through the blinds going, hey, look at the worshipping demons, I swear to God, get over here.
I've seen it. And then but no, they're definitely ones that are feared, and no one goes there unless they have to. It's like the Shadowlands of Lion King, for anyone that needs to dumb down any further. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
My next one is, in my opinion, potentially the most racist of all of them, because it is so on the fucking nose.
Good start. Yeah.
This is the Shou. Shou. Bear with me on this. I know what they're trying to do, and they're trying to be inclusive, but god damn it. These are yellowish bronze in hue, their words, not mine, with black hair and dark eyes. They are a numerous and powerful ethnic group that is far to the east. Their surnames are presented before their given names, and they're things like Jing and Chow. And they are very obviously Asian archetypes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This, I feel, comes right out of the old and actually really fun, if incredibly insensitive, Oriental adventures, right? From 3.5, which was all about, this is where we get our samurai fighter and a lot of our monk stuff, and the way the Drunken Master and stuff is from those books and that campaign setting. They've obviously gotten rid of that, which is fantastic, and they've included this instead, but it is very much those guys are over there, there's a lot of them, and they're powerful, and very few of them come over, and when they do, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And so I like that they're trying to be inclusive on this, but it's and it's also Chinese. There's no Japanese or Filipino or Malaysian version of it. It's
Korean,
just, this is why I say, like, unintentionally racist. Like, hey, we included Asia. No.
But thank you.
Exactly.
So
no one asked for this. But...
Look, we did European, all right?
So anyway, I actually really kind of like the flavor of it because I come from Karatur, which I was in a lot of my reading, which is just another section of the Forgotten Realms. It's not anywhere near the Sword Coast. It's off to the east, and it's very, very different. The way that Asia feels different to Europe, right? And there are grand deserts that you have to cross to get from one to the other, and wide open expanses. And so you do get like caravans and trade routes and stuff coming from Karatur, and a lot of different kinds of humans that are coming as well. You don't really hear about other races coming from over there. So that's a little weird, but I'm sure it's there. It just, I mean, how many pages are they going to write about lizard folk?
Yeah.
Right. So, you know what I mean? So I'm points for effort on this one, and I'm glad you're being inclusive, but it feels really on the fucking nose.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like we're learning over time that there's just better ways to go about this. As just and you know, the education on that just wasn't as out there at the time. So it was like, okay, look, I think we did it. I think we covered it, right? Is that right? And all of the other white people in the room went, it's got to be, right? I mean, how much can there be to this?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure it's not intentional, but I think you're absolutely right. Okay, I'm going to do the Imaskari.
Oh, I like these guys, actually.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, so an uprising of Mulan's slaves brought about the ruin of the Imaskar and its ruling wizards thousands of years ago. Basically, they come from desert-type, not communities, like cities and... not community? What am I trying to say?
Society.
Societies with grand pyramids, and they use slaves to build these pyramids. So I'm thinking like ancient Egyptian rulers standing with their staffs, whipping the slaves as they build their pyramids. The uprising of those slaves drove the Imaskari into the Underdark, where their complexion started to change. They started to become very pale. The hair started to turn white. So I imagine they were probably darker in skin tone at first, and then their hair started to go very pale, and they probably look very different to what they used to.
I gotta ask, how come when humans go into the Underdark, they get pale and everything turns white, and yet when it's the Drow and the Duragar and the Svirfneblin, the deep gnomes, all their skin turned gray and black.
Yeah,
in the Underdark. What's the difference there?
They adjust to their surroundings. Humans like to stick out.
Exactly.
In the land of horrible slavery, dear humans, you fucked that one up.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it says it right there in the text that they're grand wizards. Okay, I find them to be probably very educated, elitist people that are now seeing the other side of it all, the other side of the stick, when they've been driven into the Underdark and are probably being enslaved while they're there, and they're fighting for their own survival. So I would say traditionally probably wizards. Now, with a lack of education, probably not. I feel like they may even be leaning towards rogue or maybe arcane trickster as they're trying to survive and hide.
I can even see some rangers, right, with the Underdark
favorite
terrain and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, that makes some sense to me.
Interesting. That's it? You good with that one?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I'm going to do the Shaaran.
Wait, real quick.
What's up?
What do you like about them, Adam? You said you liked them a lot.
Well, I like them because they have actually a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the ones that I've gotten are, so these people are over here.
They exist.
And that's what I get.
Yeah.
So when I saw it's the Imaskari, right?
Yeah.
And they're very tied to the Mulan as well.
Yes, so that's my
Right.
next one.
So
Yeah.
I really like the fact that we've got kind of an intertwined history with the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been a couple of times where you see, one of these human sub races is very linked to another one.
Yeah.
And I like it when it's got some sort of, political intrigue and history and just something to sink your teeth into there beyond just, hey guys, I have 2 hands, 2 feet. I'm as medium sized as they come. Mm-hmm. And I have skills and a feat.
Yeah.
So, welcome, I'm a human, right?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Human.
And that's how the player introduces their character to the party.
Right, but when you have, like, the Imaskari, there's more for you to sink your teeth into with the backstory. And
Right.
I just think there's more fun to be
Yeah.
had there.
I felt like this one was one of the ones that got a little bit more into the detail of how they went through time, not just we ended up here.
Yeah.
Like, they actually had a reason as to why they were here, why they were there, and then where they ended up. So I found that one to be one of the first ones that I read. So I was like, that's interesting.
Yep.
But yeah. So I've got the Shaaran. They're dark-haired and tan-skinned. They're a tribe based from the south of Faerun. They are skilled hunters, archers, riders, so I assume these guys are going to be more your rangers, your that kind of thing. They do worship and celebrate various deities of nature. I kind of see these as the hippies of humans. These are definitely your hippie guys.
Yeah, okay.
They have a very, very simple view
Their
of
names
life.
like Flower Child and
so
Moonbeam.
immediately you would probably think druid or something more along that nature aspect, but unfortunately they actually don't have magic. It's not really commonplace for them to have magic. Even though they celebrate the deities, the ones that they celebrate are more like your hunter gods or your like crop gods, the ones that are going to give you a fruitful
so they're the
crop.
children of the corn then.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. That's good for everyone.
Similar to the Bedine, they are organized more in a clan base where they are run by chieftains and other elders that have like their word is law.
It's a cult or commune or something,
Yes,
isn't it?
very cultish. So this is where you go when you want to run away from mom at 16 and
Yikes!
Yeah,
I want to be wild and free. I'm going to the wonderful land of Jonestown.
yes, absolutely. So this is what I imagine for these folk. But so that's unfortunately I went like when I first started reading with these I went druid because that's what it read to me, and then all of a sudden it's like no, we don't practice magic. So it's definitely more of the hippie.
It's not even ranger then because rangers inherently have spells. I'm thinking like it's the rogue scout,
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
Or the just the archer, like
just archer archetype, and that's it.
yeah, you're a champion fighter, but you took a bow and arrow.
I'm a hunter.
I can see like Rogue Scout and I can imagine them insisting on non-lethal damage. Like they'll just piss you off by like pelting you with tomatoes or something until you just
They've got a
leave.
sling and a rock. They don't actually have a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
They're the
Yeah.
Lost Boys from Peter Pan.
There you go. Pan flutes, the whole 9 yards. Tambourines and shit.
Is there anything more on them?
Hippies, that's it.
They're just hippies.
Made up chanting that actually has no historical value, didn't come from anywhere. They just
made it up.
They just find it to be spiritual or very worldly.
Oh, they're those people that buy all the crystals and then they've got like Native American art that they just bought from some white guy in the mall. But, they hung it up on the wall.
Tattoos of conflicting ideologies on their body.
Fuck,
Yeah.
I hate. All right,
Yeah.
okay, I'm moving right along.
Yeah, just...
Fucking hate those guys.
Sorry I brought it up.
I'm spiritual. Oh, you're not educated. Okay.
Stop.
I prescribe to goop. Yeah.
Oh my god.
All right, so my next one is the Tethyrian race, which is widespread across the West. And again, it's just so generic that I can't really get a bead on them. Except, well, bear with me. So they're widespread across the West. They're medium physical stature. They have dusky skin, whatever that means, to fair skin, with either blue all the way to brown eyes. So, like...
Dusky to fair skin. That just depends on how dirty they are.
Yeah, generic human number
At
27.
5 p.m., they always seem to be duskier than they are at 5 a.m. It's weird.
Yeah, and again, there's no real defining factor here, because they don't even have their own naming convention. They use the Chondathan names that I said earlier, which are the Nordic ones.
Yeah.
So, and then, however, it gets into a weird level of specificity because they're from a very feudal region of Tethyr, which is a realm ruled by Queen Anais, from the capital of Doramar. Like, we're getting oddly specific. The Chondathans got a paragraph.
Yeah.
And these guys who adopt their names are getting pages of shit.
Yeah.
They've got the queen, who has dukes and then counts, and then sheriffs who oversee the farmlands and the markets. So, like, we're really feudal in this society now. But there's lots of intrigue in the upper class, the dukes and the nobility and the royalty. There's all sorts of murder and backstabbing and poisonings and stuff. And it even says right in the reading material, adventurers walking through will often get sucked into these plots.
Right.
So I feel like this was probably something I couldn't find anything on it, but it's probably really well laid out. There are probably a lot of adventure modules in this area of Tethyr and the capital of Daramar in previous editions.
Yeah.
And this is just a holdover because, hey, we already know this lore. Here it is.
Yeah.
So, I would never choose this as a background unless I'm going there.
Yeah.
Because it is so fucking generic. Right? If this is what I would choose actually when I show up as a human to the table and the DM says, "Oh, what kind of human?" I am a shit. What's the most generic shit on here? Because I didn't write a backstory.
Well, that was the same thing when I was reading like, oh god, what is it? Calishites.
Yeah.
Because they actually
Calishite,
battled the Tethyrians a lot.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
They crossed paths a lot in previous editions and previous lore.
Yeah.
In fact, like the Calishites fought them a lot and took their lands multiple times. So I feel like, again, if you're making a human character want something super generic, it's going to be the Calishites, the Tethyrians, because they're everywhere. I find. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like, and that again, that's what I have in that. There's not a lot in 5th edition about any of these guys, right? So you do have to dig into previous lore. Even Terry was talking earlier about the Spell Plague and the Second Sundering, and these are things that were so impactful that they're the excuse of why we have different editions of D&D. Why did the rules change between Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and 3.5? Oh, there's a spell plague. Here's a little paragraph of storyline to say, now we count AC going up and not down. This is why, right? And so there are definitely old holdovers that I'm feeling. You gotta find your Wikipedia page on some of this shit in order to get
your fandom Wikipedia pages.
I
think it's unnecessary as well to use something like the spell plague to change editions when it can just be like all the same shit, but here's a different way of playing it. And you can just go, okay, because that's what like a lot of the other games do. Like the whole like Warhammer lore doesn't change every time they change edition every 20 minutes.
You should sit down and have a talk with 4th edition who threw out 100% of the lore and changed absolutely everything just to have everyone hate it. And they go, oh, sorry, no, none of that. That was a fever dream. Don't worry about it. We're back to the way things were before.
Read the books.
Except the Raven Queen, we're keeping that.
Such a human thing to do, though. Is
very adaptable.
A young person comes along and goes,
Is
"It's
that
my
the word
time
we're using
now."
for it? Adaptable?
I am going to talk about the Mulan. Dominant in the eastern and southeastern shores of the inner sea, the Mulan are generally tall, slim, and amber-skinned with eyes of hazel or brown. Their hair ranges from black to dark brown.
Excellent.
But in the lands where the Mulan are most prominent, nobles and many other Mulan shave off their hair. Okay, so for me, because of their names, let me give you some of their names. Efut Ki, Mumed, Ramas, Sokelhur, Dazadi. It sounds almost...
She's crazy having a stroke.
I know. But up until the shaved head point where I was thinking like more Asian, before that I was thinking more like Arabian, really.
I was almost going Native American.
Actually, you've switched my mind on that. Because I was thinking, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen pictures of, like, Afghanistan in the 70s, where Kandahar, I've been to Kandahar, it doesn't look like it used to. Kandahar, it was, like, this beautiful city with, like, these lush green, like, hanging gardens, and it was, like, a tourist destination. And they did have nobles and you know, people of different important things. And I kind of was viewing that in my mind. But now you're making me think Native American. Because you're right, because that would hit with all of the skin tones and eye colors, but also the shaving of head sometimes, the longer hair other times.
I was kind of getting that feel a little bit off of some of the names. When are we going to hit the Aztec and South American archetypes as well?
Right.
I'm looking at a globe going, all right, so check on Europe. I'm sure we're gonna get back to that shit. Check on Russia, right? Like, and I'm going around the globe, just going, what have we included and what's missing at this point?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the Canadians. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get Canadians.
I'm giving a face if anybody can not see it.
Megan's slow turned to me and raised like both eyebrows.
When they find a country where all these people combined, that is Canada.
Everybody's friend, right?
Yeah.
The second largest country in the world, also one of the quietest. Are you sad? We're sad too. We're sad too.
All sad,
Are you happy?
yeah.
We're happy. We're glad you're happy.
You want okay? All right. Sidebar about Canada. I was sitting there talking to Mieka. There's social turmoil down in the States, and there's riots and protests and looters, and these are all very separate things that are happening,
Right.
And they all get blended together, and it's difficult to have that conversation, especially as a straight white guy up here, so far removed from everything. And I remember being in the Vancouver riot, and she said, "Oh my God, when was that?" I'm like, 2010. She said, "What was the trigger?" And I went,
Oh my God, don't
I
even.
remember.
"It was a hockey game for
Yes.
5 days." I'm going to stop talking. I'll be under the table.
That's what makes us riot.
Jeez. Anyway, moving on. So
I avoided downtown. I remember I was supposed to go downtown that day, and then my mom called me and said, "Can you not go downtown today?"
Dan's brother and I went to go rescue Dave, actually, who was he was downtown in it, getting tear gassed with people, and he was dragging people out. We were the only ones driving over the Lionsgate Bridge into Vancouver. And I rolled down the window. I was yelling at him, get in the car, because he'd gotten past the police line, and the tear gas was wafting into the car. It was crazy. It was insane. And it was nothing compared to the shit that is happening down there. So
Crazy. My last year in the army, I was trained in riot control. Did an
Yeah.
extensive exercise on it. Yeah, I was
Could have utilized it here in 2010.
I was actually very good. Well, funnily enough, been watching the news. I've been explaining what is happening with my girlfriend. So this is called a cordon. This is whatever. This is what they'll do here.
I imagine you with the X's and O's on the football field.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean. But then he changes to, and this is. I'm not sure what they're doing there. They should. I don't know why they shot that.
This
man.
guy doesn't understand.
That's not standard practice.
That's not standard.
We don't do that in the UK. I don't know.
Yeah, but you guys ride into riots on horseback with sabers.
And polo sticks?
Huzzah! Back to your domiciles.
Shit.
Whose turn is it?
Do you have any more about the Mulan?
No, that's it.
All right.
Adam made us talk about riots and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. So I'm going to talk about the Gur.
Terry's so pissed with the names that you got. Wait till he sees the one after this.
You're gonna love it. It's gonna be great. So they're also known as Saloon's children, or people of the highway, is what they like to be called. They are related to the Rashemis, like they're direct descendants of. They're stout and dusky skinned and very dark haired. They are strong worshippers of the moon goddess. So they do have a religion that they follow really deeply. And so these guys, though, they're kind of divided into two very main standards of living. So one is they travel through the Western Heartlands, and then those that are living within the Savage Frontier. So the Western Heartlands were a narrow strip of civilizations kind of running through the Sunset Mountains to the Sea of Swords. And they kind of resemble Roma travelers. So that's the kind of society they live. They travel, they set up their shops as they go for sellings. It's not uncommon for them to do divine like readings, that kind of stuff.
Are we putting these guys in the same sort of, I hate to use this, racial category as the Vistani from Curse of Strahd?
Like, that's kind of how I read them, because even if you read their kind of names, like their names are Boriv, Gardar, Madavik, Vlad, Vara, Olara.
Okay, so, yeah, all right.
Yeah, so if you're thinking Vistani for, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, that's where they would fit. And then the Savage Frontier for the other ones is just kind of like those that have not settled anywhere. They just kind of live in the north, and they just kind of roam around within the north. They don't really have it's just like the wildlings of the north for this archetype.
Yeah.
So due to worshipping the Moon Maiden, or Saloon, it is very common for these humans to be skilled in divining or soothsaying. So it's kind of what I was saying, well, it's not uncommon for them to set up a booth for predicting the future, so on and so forth. So I kind of see these would be commonly like your sorcerers or warlocks, or even weirdly like paladins, because they are very righteous to they wouldn't be necessarily fighters, but I could see them being on that divine, maybe cleric side of things.
Well, you're saying worshipping the moon and divine, that sounds to me like druid.
Druids
Yeah.
could be, yeah, for sure. Yeah, more that nature side of things.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so that's kind of them.
Okay. These are the people that are going to... They're going to walk up and stroke the side of your face and say, thinner. You'll be in a bad Stephen King movie.
That'll be my character that they do that to, no doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely no doubt.
Absolutely. But I could see these ones also being the ones that if you were traveling through like a market or something and you came across them, they would offer their divine services or what have you, because that's what they like to do.
Okay.
They would swindle. They would try and get as much out of you as they probably could, because they're travelers. They have to.
I'd be buying a lot of Heather, I think.
Where'd you meet her?
Oh dear. But yeah, that's kind of how I see them. Another type of like hippie archetype, but more of the religious side of things.
I see what you're saying about it, but not so much hippie for me, because hippie is like a modern thing where they've decided that they kind of fit that, but this is more like traditional, right?
Yes.
It's passed down.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's really flavorful. Obviously, the Tethyrians left me fucking cold, right, on flavor. But you guys, I like that one in particular. I could make a...
You could build a really good character with... It's a very simplistic background. It's not too detailed. There is a lot of like their history and the battles and the wars that they fought, that kind of stuff. But when you get down to just the basic nitty-gritty of like their lifestyle and how they operate and how they would probably communicate with another person, you could build a very specific character out of this and still add flavor to it.
I would give everyone from this Thieves' Cant or Druid Craft to be able to communicate kind of like across the market with each other.
Yeah.
Or just the spell of tongues right away, because they travel so much, they interact with different humans, they probably understand communication a little bit better than any other human archetype. So, yeah.
That was fun. My next one is the Tuigan. Tuigan.
Tiguan?
They're using the wrong place.
Tujuan.
Tuigan.
I would maybe
Tuigan.
say Tuigan.
Tuigan.
I wouldn't say the U, I don't think.
Then
Anyway.
again, that's more French.
Yeah.
Tuigan.
Tuigan.
You'll say it exactly as they say it, but they'll still correct. Tuigan? Tuigan. No. Tuigan.
Tuigan.
Tuigan. No. Tuigan.
I just want you to do that for the rest of the podcast. We've got another half hour to go, Terry.
That's my life. Other sidebar. Okay, so obviously I'm trying to learn French. I have a French girlfriend, and if I can't remember something, I'll just try and describe it, or I'd be adamant of whatever. And yesterday I asked her if she wants anything from the machine of hot bread, which was the toaster, because I remembered it incorrectly. And I said that while she was on phone with her mom, who was speaking, and I was like, the machine à pain chaud, and everybody erupted in laughing. And don't try and learn another language, because it's fucking horrendous in the body, is the lesson there.
Proud of you for trying.
Anyway, the Tuigan, I'm going to say it just as white as possible. The Tuigan are a nomadic horde from the plains between Faerun and Karator, which is called the Horde Lands. I was very disappointed when I saw the spelling for Horde Lands. They once ruled Faerun under a conqueror known as Yamin Kahan before a coalition of armies overthrew them. So these guys they've got a kind of deep, rich history. They are a nomadic, like I said, horde. This is really straightforward to me about where they're getting the inspiration from this one. This is Genghis Khan. This is the Attila the Hun. These are Huns or Mongols, or they're occasionally still seen in the Sword Coast, but very infrequently. They come from the east, and it even says they resemble the Shou, but with darker and broader features. So that says to me Siberia, Mongolia, like that's kind of the direction I think that they're strongly freaking hinting at. Yeah. And again, I didn't feel like I needed this strong racial tie to this, right? There's not much more there's a ton of stuff online about them, but it gets into a lot of dynasty and who was overthrown by whom, and then who got revenge by someone else. And I just, there was a lot of reading about these guys, but there's very little in the 5th edition material. So,
yeah.
I have the Rashemi. Most often found east of the inner sea and often intermingled with the Mulan, Rashemis tend to be short, stout, and muscular. They usually have dusky skin, dark eyes, and thick black hair. So they're from a harsh, cold land filled with hardy folk. Rashomon is a fiercely traditional nation. It is ruled by its Iron Lord. The nation's warriors are fierce, stoic, famed not farmed for their strength. They're famed for their strength, endurance, and stubbornness in battle. Rashomon is a long-standing enemy of Thay and has often thwarted the nation's ambitions to rule Faerun. Okay, so basically we're seeing short, stoic, aggressive, very tough people that live in harsh, cold, mountainous environments. Because they have darker hair typically and duskier skin, I went initially. I was like Russian at first, but then it didn't seem to be that way. And then I thought more like Dagestan, which is like ruled by Russia currently, but it's like very like a very Muslim sort of country.
Okay.
So it makes sense to have, and they have mountainous, harsh, cold environments, but they have that Russian sort of flavor added to them. But to look at, they would be darker and duskier in skin and darker in hair, but very harsh environment. So I think kind of, I guess barbarian. I don't think rage. I just think stubbornness. So maybe
general fighters.
Maybe
fighter, I was just talking about the nomadic horde, and I'm like, oh, that one's barbarian. I keep thinking barbarian. There's a lot of nomadic tribe barbarian crap littered all through this.
Battle master, right? Just mounted combat.
Yeah.
Stubborn. Champion. Yeah.
Taking the feet, just mounted combat. There you go. Yeah. Perfect. Done.
Yeah.
Made it. My next one's a little bit meatier. You're gonna love this name, Terry. They're called the Ffolk.
So that's slang for people. So they're called the people.
No, there's two F's.
There's
in
two
folk.
F's.
It's folk. Yeah,
These people.
the second F is for fuck.
So these guys were thought to be descendants of the Tethyrian folks.
Those are mine.
There you go.
Yeah.
But they settled on the Moonshae Islands, which is kind of the southwest corner in this Sword Sea or whatever.
Yeah.
Shall you?
Right off the Sword Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of consists of a bunch of little different islands, which I found in reading. Each island has its own issues, its own politics, its own problems. So I could go into detail about a lot of them, but I'll kind of detail a few of the ones that I kind of enjoyed. But to also note that like the northern islands are owned by the Northlanders, so they almost share a border within these smaller island clusters. So they do have a deep respect for nature and are primarily farmers worshipping a goddess of the earth. They actually call her the Earth Mother. So yes, that checks out. They are thought to be druidic in nature. So if you're thinking druids, this is definitely...
You're just getting all druids.
I know, like Earth. Or I think it's like, because if you think about the map in which most of mine come from, it is definitely the Southwest, which I feel like they're all more nature-based.
I tried to kind of split us up a little bit when I was assigning these, but... For fuck's sakes.
It's hard enough.
There's so much stuff to read about that doing a quick scan was almost impossible.
Yeah. But at the same time, due to being very coastal and being within the waters, they're actually revered for their shipbuilding skills.
Shipbuilding
skills.
Did not hear the P.
They're known for their shipbuilding skills.
Shipbuilding skills.
Live in brick huts.
They build their ships well. Especially known for like high seas sailing boats. So like the ones that can handle the rough waters, right?
Okay.
So if I'm going to talk about the clusters of islands, the main one in the center is called Gwyneth, which is actually run by High Lady Odolph. And this island over time actually became very fae-like and magical in nature. So it became a common meeting ground for like druids for ceremonies, and it had a central citadel. So if you're thinking a very druidic area, this little tiny island in the center is definitely the centerpiece of that. And then to the east, Halruaan is just a little tiny strip of island right beside. Is actually ruled by the High King Darid Kendrick. And these islands are kind of more forested in nature. So in fact, their woods are kind of like the lost woods. So if you go in there, you will get lost, you will die. That is kind of the thought.
Okay.
It's very strongholdy. So he lives there. And he actually wants control of the citadel on Gwyneth and establish it more of as an embassy and just kind of run the whole cluster. It's kind of his goal in life.
Mm-hmm.
But she won't give him permission, which I think is hilarious. He's like, I want it. She's like, no. And I enjoy that a lot. So this could actually lead to a lot of really cool, what I thought, like plot hooks for players. If they ended up finding themselves on that coast or in that area or on any of these islands, a lot of them actually support Dedrick in his, or did, what, oh, God damn it. David.
David.
Yeah. Support him in his claim. So it's almost like this tiny Gwyneth Island in the middle is being run by Odolph, and then almost the
Sorry, by Odolph?
Odolph?
He's not frozen, isn't he?
That was not the Odolph I was afraid of.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lady Odolph.
All right, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then the islands surrounding here are kind of wanting it to all be run by this other High King. So I feel like this is like a good standpoint or place of almost like your Princess Mononoke. We want to keep this forest sacred, and the ones on the outsides are wanting to ruin what we have here on this tiny forest.
Is this
island.
Hawaii?
Probably.
like Pacific Islands with the almost like Caribbean maybe?
Yeah. If we look at their names, they're generic. Like their names are Archer, Gareth, Lead, Kendrick, Morgan, Waters.
Okay, so not at all.
Yeah, this is more like your generic human name almost.
Yeah,
so,
the Jeffrey,
Andrew,
probably. Michael.
Yeah.
all from different cultures.
Sean.
Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, I feel like that's one of the main pieces when it comes to these islands is this war between these two large powerhouses.
Yeah.
One of the things to kind of keynote is that Snowdon, which is down below the two of them, was taken by possession by which is right on the coast.
Okay.
And they actually stripped the island of its materials. So they took all the trees, they took any kind of material they could take, they stripped it.
Standard.
And then the people that lived on that island...
Listen, British. Yeah.
Discovering another country.
So it was owned by someone on called Lady Liza, who was also known as Bloody Liza, because she basically demolished this entire island. And they actually revolted and rebelled against her. And it's almost at the point where wants to get rid of the island. So there's a lot of conflict between the actual coast and this one tiny island that's a part of this Moon Shea cluster. So there's a lot of war going on between every single tiny island. Like even one of the smaller islands, what is it called? Moray, is one of the ones that would like to see the High King be successful in his endeavors, but is also at war with itself. So it can't even keep its ports open.
So it has a civil war and an international war?
Yeah, so they want to keep their ports open, but they can't because they're fighting with each other, so they're not able to get supplies. They're just like, they're killing themselves, almost. And they're on the top, like, northeast section. So they're the farthest away from the person they're supporting. So it's a very weird place to be.
I would like to see a campaign setting... Like an adventure module here.
I would too, because there's so much variety. I would like a campaign setting where it's say at the end of one campaign you start up again on another island on like the another side.
Yeah.
And kind of play this war from the other side. I would like that.
Yeah, in Dragon Heist, depending on which season you start in, you get a different story.
I love that.
So I like the idea of you being able to see the war from 4 or 5 different sides.
Yeah.
In here, in these islands. That sounds a lot of fun.
It gives you the opportunity to play on things like propaganda.
Yeah.
Right? To see it from both sides. Yeah.
No, it's really cool. And even like this, one of the smallest islands called Snowdown. Sorry, that was the one I talked about before, but Oman's Isle, which is on the southwest side. They used to look like a shire, and then all of a sudden they got taken over by giants that now won't let anyone on the island. They just throw rocks at people before they can get to the island. So you can't even get to that island.
As giants do,
Giants
though.
and
Yeah.
bastards.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they're just doing because it's funny.
But like, it's just
Big splash! Yeah.
But like, it's just so weird to look at the cluster of islands, see how close together they are, and how different they interact with each other. So I would love to see a campaign in this world, and again, who you're going to side
I feel
with.
like you can put a lot of lessons in this.
A lot of life lessons.
We don't like them because they're different.
Yeah.
We don't understand them.
But it's all the same sub-race of humans. It's all the same.
They're just warring with themselves.
Warring with themselves.
Yeah.
So, but
Most of them probably don't even know why they're doing it anymore.
No, they're just like, this is the normal for us, right?
I feel like
Port's closed again today. Shit.
Oh, God.
I feel it's like ancient Mediterranean, where all of the different countries and nations around the sea would have naval warfare with each other all of the time. But
Yeah.
my next one is called the Turami. They are native to the southern shore of the inner sea. So we're back at the inner sea again. They're tall and muscular with mahogany skin, curly black hair, and dark eyes. And that's what you get.
Nice.
Just kind of imagining curly-haired Samoan people.
Well, it's funny because when you look at the names that you get, they're a little bit Spanish. So I'm starting to feel like this is your Central America
Oh, yeah.
kind of feel. So not Spain necessarily, but like Mexican Spanish or Latino or and that's. But again, like mahogany skin, curly black hair, and dark. Can we not just? Do we have? Fuck.
Mm-hmm. This is Dungeons and Dragons, where we can get creative from different norms that we see in our world. So you could have dark skin and blue eyes in this world. We can be creative here.
Yeah, we're not, right? And so this is one of the things that I would like in 6th edition, if it ever comes.
Yes.
I want a solid mixing and matching of, hey, how about just humans do not know the size or build or color of the baby until it's born. That's one of the things about humans.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can have each one of these things be a nation, right? Or a kingdom, and we don't have to worry about the rest of that shit.
To your point, just a background at some point.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. And then you have random tables to roll on to find out what color your eyes or your hair or your
Just
skin.
like how like the tieflings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Like, why? Anyway,
Truth.
that's
Yeah.
me. What do you have? That was the Turami. Well, you were all just hanging on by a fucking...
So I was ready for something big.
Yeah, I know. This is we're on the final ones now, right? This is
I've got one
He
more.
has
after
one more
this.
than we
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Okay. I have there's so many ways we can say this. It could be the Ulutiun, the Ulutiun. No, there's like 3 ways you can say it.
Ulutiun.
Ulutiun, yeah. But I'm going to go with Ulutiun. Okay, the Ulutians are short, dark-haired, golden-skinned people who originated in northern Karatur and migrated westward to Icewind Dale and other cold lands near the endless ice sea. They're hunters and gatherers. Ulutians live in small tribes that have managed to survive in one of the harshest environments in the world, Winnipeg. Each has only a single name, sometimes handed down from one's parent. Ulutians don't use surnames. Okay, so their names are male names: Amak, Chu, Imnek, Kanut, Siku, female, Akna, China, Kaya, Sedna.
Oh.
Are these
Ulurek.
are these your Inuit?
Or maybe, because, so where they're originally from, Karatur, I'll talk about that, and then we can talk about Icewind Dale, where they migrated to, because they're not really from there, they just kind of ended up there. So Karatur, far to the east, past the wastes of the Hordelands, lie the empires of the Shaolung, Kozakura, Wa, and the other lands of the vast continent of Karatur. To most people of Faerun, Karatur is like another world, and the tales told by travellers from its nation seem to confirm it. The gods of the humans worship the Faerun are unknown there, and are common people such as gnomes, orcs, blah 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 blah. Okay, there's like crazy dragons that are not chromatic and not metallic. It's just a very weird, strange place where it almost seems like an alien planet to everybody else.
Well, I feel like that's how Europeans thought of Asia, though, back in like the year 900.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Just simple things of how their custom of drinking. Well, talk about Europeans. Their custom of how they drink their tea is very different to us. We can't trust them. It's weird. It's kind of like that.
Milk, get out of here.
Exactly. Do not put the milk in first. But
Every time someone asks me, "Do you want me to leave the tea bag in?" I feel like it's a test,
Yes.
and I don't know how to answer that test, so I just say no, thank you, and
Good call.
Yeah.
Safe.
Yeah.
okay, all right. Very awkward about this.
No, thank you. So let it steep, then no, thank you.
Okay.
But they migrated to Icewind Dale. Okay, so the Icewind Dale, as it's described, if you go far enough north, you will come to the mountains rightly called the spine of the world. Turn west and go towards the sea of moving ice, as though it's Google Maps. Okay.
Here.
Turn west and go towards the sea of moving ice. Stay in the right-hand lane and merge.
This was Google Maps back in the day, though.
This was MapQuest.
Yeah,
Yeah, southeast.
you'll eventually come across these scattered communities in these very harsh, cold environments where it's like so far away.
These are the wildlings.
But it's like, why do you keep going? Which is kind of what I think about like Saskatchewan. right? Which is why places like Regina and Saskatoon live, because I think the people that came from Europe just got so fucking sick of walking. They said, we're stopping here. And this is why places like Winnipeg and Manitoba exist, because people just didn't want to keep going.
Tired.
Like, I got blisters on my feet, and you're telling me there's fucking mountains in front of me? Yeah. Fuck it.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know, it kind of feels Far Eastern, but no, what did you say? Kind of Inuit?
I said Inuit almost. I'm just thinking about the smaller communities in the harsh.
And then moving towards
winter
because it could be argued that I guess kind of
More
Inuit, right?
northern,
That they've
like-
just traveled, the traveling people that kind of ended up here, and they're probably right. Just
These
got
are your
sick of
Canadians.
walking. Yeah, these are Canadians.
This is what America thinks is
This is what
Yeah.
the U.S.
America
thinks
thinks
Canada
there's so
is.
few of us up here that we don't have last names either.
do you know Jeff? Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I know 9
Yes,
of
I
them.
do. Of course, I know Jeff. Yeah, Jeff, who lives in wherever. Okay, I do actually know that Jeff. Yes.
Yeah.
This is just a coincidence.
Do you know Frank from Thunder Bay? Yeah.
I do.
He's my uncle. Fuck.
But that's them. I think I like. There's a little bit more to these, right? They're fleshed out. They're travelers. They're made their way from a very different environment to a very harsh, cold environment. But again, not creative with what they look like. We got a lot of dusky or dark skin tones and hair ranging from black to dark brown, and we kind of we've seen it, right?
Yep. And I feel like these were added because they felt the need to, right? Like this is being inclusive, but is it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because in my mind, I'm like, you could be any of hair color, eye color, like that stuff doesn't really...
Yeah, they're forcing it. I think but I think when you do it where you can just mix and match and kind of make, whatever you want for a human, it just gives you a lot more freedom. And it allows you to be more creative and enjoy the game without worrying about getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Which is, the big thing. We really just want to enjoy this game for the creativity that it brings without being like, holy shit, am I just going to offend the entire world here? Which is what these, like, the names, they're just made to sound like certain cultures, and that it'll upset me if they said like Walliams instead of David Walliams is a famous comedian, but
Yeah, I really like him.
but he only did that because his name is actually David Williams, and he changed
Wanted
it to
to be
Walliams
different,
just to be different. But I mean, that's the type of thing that you get in there, right? And it's just like, okay, well, points for effort, I guess,
Yeah. All right, so the last one that we have is the Illuskans. These are one of the most well fleshed out of the human subraces. But we are running super long on this episode, and I could talk forever about it. So I'm going to give you guys kind of a brief breakdown about them, because there are straight up maps, and it gets into trading and fishing and what markets are like, and the whole thing in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide. But really quickly, these are tall, fair-skinned with blue or steely gray eyes. They've got raven black hair, but in the extreme northwest, they have lighter hair. They've all got Germanic-sounding names. They're all over the place. But the main area, like, they come from the islands over by kind of the Moonshae area, but not the Moonshae Islands. They come from the islands of Whalebones and Ruathim Island. And so they've got more of this kind of like seafaring feel to them. They founded a nation called Illusk, but now it's called Luskan. And there's a lot of lore about how they've evolved and changed over time. And I feel like they're a bit of a pirate nation because they're ruled by 5 sea captains who actually have names and ships, and they run the entire community there. There's a lot of info about them, but they're off the coast of the Sword Coast. So they're a little bit west. And again, you're getting sailors and merchants, and I feel like you can make a strong case for almost any one of the backgrounds that you can find in the player's handbook for the Illuskans themselves. So, and you find them all over the place, but you're dealing with your basic European Germanic ideals here.
Yeah.
So I don't have much more to say about them. There's a lot of in-world history to them, but the way they are now is these guys are over here, they're doing this, they're pretty much everywhere. like there's nothing really additional.
Pirates.
Yeah. So, so how do you guys feel about that? About this entire long list of different sub races of humans?
Maggie, do you want to go first?
I think we've really hit the nail on. Like we're hitting the same point over and over again with these, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of variety. I just think we can just go about it a little bit better.
But that's what I mean. I feel like the ones that they go into a lot of detail on, it's just so weird, the variety. There are some that you have years and years and years worth of lore, which are obviously carryovers from previous editions or previous books. Or even just Baldur's Gate written books, not even like D&D related specific stuff. And then you get the ones that have 3 sentences and you're like, cool beans. Like, it's almost just like you're almost looking at your players and saying, these are the 5 that we want you to play, but we're going to throw these ones in here just for shits.
These are our token races?
Yeah. To go at war with the ones that we've fleshed out. Right? So I like the fact that they do have such a broad spectrum that you could pick and choose from. So when you are building your character, you could go more into that history. Like when I built my first human character, I didn't look at any of this.
Most people don't.
And
most people have no idea.
Yeah. They have no idea that any of this exists or any of this back history exists. They just make up their own shit because we're humans and we understand how humans work, so we make up our own stuff.
I come from Waterdeep, Neverwinter, Icewind Dale.
Yeah.
Right? Or the small village of these 7 letters thrown together that I just made up.
Yeah.
We never think of our ancestry. Whereas if you play an elf or if you play something like a more of a long-winded history, you might read up where your god, what gods you look into, that kind of stuff. Whereas humans, we just kind of make it up as we go. So knowing that there's this much here,
we're almost
interesting.
more defined as players when we look at it. We're more defined by our backgrounds than the racial history when we play a human.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not true for anybody else.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very strange. They go into so much detail. Would this give you analysis paralysis if you just flipped open and saw this much information?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think for me, I would likely have a rough idea of where I want to go anyway, based on these cultures on Earth, and be like, oh, I might go kind of Middle Eastern, or I might go, Far East or something, and then just kind of hone in on whichever one seemed to work for that. That's probably the way I do it.
It's interesting to me that I didn't find, as I'm sitting there, I said earlier, I'm checking off places in the globe, okay, included this. There are some glaring omissions, like South America, Africa, Australia, right? Although I did just talk about a pirate nation, so maybe that's covered. But is there anything there that you find is super glaringly omitted? Or did they do too much? Remember, Dan said that the more inclusive you try to be with some things, the more you're excluding others.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's the piece of it, is that because we can pinpoint in our minds, we might be right, we might not be right of what they were thinking when they were developing these.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say what they were trying to be inclusive of and what they weren't, and if they purposefully did omit, or if they tried to make it as gray area as possible, so that you didn't pinpoint that they were trying to say this place.
Yeah.
Well, Shou excluded.
I think it's kind of
right.
It's the more, the more you put in there, the more you're excluding other people. But it's kind of and I'll just do it in the reverse order. It's kind of I'll do it as from England, how we are with soccer. It's England has a rivalry with Wales and Scotland, until the rest of Europe gets involved, and then we're the UK, then fuck those guys. Yeah. And then we're Europe, fuck North America. And then it's whatever, and then you just keep building up. So it's the more you kind of hone in on some area, you can be okay, well, let's do the European nations, and Sweden's going, well, what the fuck? We're Sweden, we're not Denmark. We're differently, we're not Norway, You go, okay, well, there's Great Britain, and Wales is going, no, we're not like
I'm
that.
like that in my personal life, though, right? I will rip on my brother like nobody's business. But if any of my friends do it, no, fuck off. That's my brother, leave him alone. And so I will fight my friends on that. But if someone else, if a stranger comes at my friends, we're all on the same side. Fuck that guy over there.
Yeah.
Right? And so and it just keeps...
It's going to keep happening, right? As you kind of zoom in on the map, it's going to happen. Even in my hometown back in the UK, there's 5,000 people there, but there's West Mask and there's East Mask.
4,999 now, Terry. You're over here.
That's right.
But there is something to be said from the DM side of things that I feel like if you were not a very good world builder, the human backgrounds and the human, where they came from, where they traveled, what they're doing, is a good starting off point. Like, as we just said, you could do a whole campaign on the Moonshae Islands and that's it.
Yeah.
You could do an entire campaign on, like, the southeast coast.
But these are geographical areas. These are kingdoms. These are not races and people. And I feel like that's what they should have focused on.
Yeah.
Is look at these kingdoms. We will not describe what they look like. Mm-hmm. Do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You make your own choice for what this is, but here is the overall flavor. And let's not use words like chic, for example. Really did give me the Persian vibe. Like, can we... And even dukes feel like...
Yeah, European, right?
Yeah. We should have things like leaders, sub-leaders, advisors, and it's up to the DM to fill in those details, right?
Yeah, for their own world building. Like, almost like a build your own world building, build your own human.
Yep, and I think that's what we should have had instead of the really short and kind of weirdly generic, but also oddly specific Sword Coast Adventures Guide. Which
3 sentences of confusion? Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
So let's cut real quickly to a shout-out, and then we'll move on to the very last bit. I know we're running long, but I want to talk about role-playing and being players for a moment.
Me too.
Hey everybody, Coffee Bitch Dave here. I have some exciting news for you. You guys are not going to believe this, and Dan is going to be so happy. He is going to be thinking about this when he's in the shower for the next 6 months, okay? It is official. My 3.5 people are moving over to 5th edition. We're actually going to start here in the next little bit, and I'm hoping that it's going to be great. As most of you know, there are some big improvements, and they're finally coming over and going to give this a try. So I just want to thank my guys, Sean, Nabila, Anthony, Guppy, and we've got a new guy joining us for our 5th edition campaign. His name is Kyle. I just want to welcome you guys all to the wonderful world of 5th edition and remind you that you guys have been wrong for so long. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Okay, guys, so really quickly, let's grab our dice again. I want to talk about role-playing tips first, okay?
Sure.
When you are playing a human, how do you do that? Fuck.
No, I've got a good
Oh, nat 20.
I got 17 and still didn't get to go first.
I got 3.
So, I have literally no input on this. A human can be absolutely anything, and the reason that I like injecting humans as NPCs specifically, because that's my life, it always ends up being the more complicated character than if I had chosen like a dwarf or a gnome. Those ones are pigeonholed into exactly what you expect. I may subvert the expectations sometimes, but if I can sit down and have a political argument around a table at a D&D session between a bunch of like players and NPCs and whatnot, they will all be humans.
You're right.
I'm not going to sit down and have the left wing and right wing dwarves that are sitting there. Like it's going to be the humans that are arguing from different perspectives because they're so well-rounded and yet also undefined, right? Mm-hmm. And so they've really hit a unique blend of too generic and too specific at the same time. So I can almost mix and match as I please.
Yeah.
So from a role-playing perspective, really, there's no funny voice. There's no funny accent. There's no... I'm not sitting there railing about my axe or my dwarven helm or any of that. It's just very much what is the specific details of this person. Also, DMs, if you're listening and you want to really pull on the heartstrings of the people around you, you want to put a child in danger, make them human. People can understand that. It is a quick touchstone that they can get right off the bat.
That's true.
Right? So if you decide that you're going to put goblin children in trouble, there will be at least one person at the table that goes, yeah, well, but fuck, they're goblins, right? Like, who gives a shit? Right? And
I feel like I tried to be that person, but I just couldn't. I was like, you don't hurt the goblin child.
I just ran a one-shot where they went into a kobold warren, and they found the breeding pits, and there was a kobold who was giving birth in there while everybody else left, and so she couldn't leave, and they were supposed to ask her for information, and she was going to be completely upfront and honest with them because she is prone. There's nothing she can do. She's actively laying fucking eggs.
Yeah.
And it was, like this intense, crazy moment. And the players just started stomping on eggs until she said what they wanted. And I'm like, motherfuck. That is great. Right. But if that had been humans, right, they would not have done that.
Yeah.
So.
Was this your group, Megan?
No, it was not.
Yes, it was, but you left that group.
Yeah, I did not go.
You bailed last minute, which...
I knew this was coming, so I was like, I'm not going to be there.
I'm not going to do it.
So
I'll just text them what to do.
Yeah,
so
stomp on the eggs.
if you want them to be a little bit more moral, you've got to show them something they're familiar with right up front, so they're not going to wonder, well, I mean, they're evil, so who gives a shit? It's a good action to kill evil things, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole new can of worms, but just as a quick shorthand for DMs, humans are a simple way to get a simple point across.
Yes. I think for me, because you're right, Adam, they're so well-rounded, is to remember how you're going to be viewed by the other races. Okay, so humans are going to be viewed by the other races as almost juvenile, I think. Almost as though you're having a very, very serious conversation and there's a 14-year-old that keeps interjecting, where it's like, okay, look, your opinion kind of matters, but also to us, you don't seem that educated on this. We've been around for a long time.
You've been at this job for 10 minutes?
Yeah, like, okay, come on, we've seen some things. Like, I appreciate yes, you're a young adult, I get it, but,
I hear your viewpoint.
Yeah.
These are the 14-year-olds that are really railing hard on Facebook to go vote. Your voice matters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, bud, I love that you're trying.
Yeah. But also is to remember that humans are driven by how much they can change the world, and the other races are going to be driven by how much they can preserve what currently exists. For example, humans see a beautiful mountain range and say, why don't we carve some faces in it? And the elves and the dwarves are going to go, please don't do that. And they're going to go, no, we're going to carve our favorite people's faces in it. So remember that, is as a human, you're going to be looking for opportunities to change and make an impact and do something memorable.
I feel like you're going to start a guild when you're a human, right? Like you're going to try to put together a crew of people.
People will know me, and whereas the dwarves and the elves and the other sort of core races are going to be trying to preserve their history, not change it, so that individual is remembered.
I feel along that same train when it comes to just the general role playing and the day-to-day interactions. Something you have to do with your human, you almost have to clearly define their goals, what they're looking for, what they want, how they're going to interact with other people, so that your role-playing one-on-one is a little bit easier. So if you're in a group of people that are all different kinds of races and species, you know how your character is going to react to that. So if a dragon appears in front of you, you've never seen one, and you're a tiny little human who's only been alive for 14 years, you've never seen one, you're probably going to be a little bit more afraid than the elf who's been around and seen 1,000 dragons in his life.
I love DMing new players because they have legitimate reactions. I describe a black pudding and they're like, oh my god, what is it? There's acid? Right? And I feel like that's humans in the D&D world.
And that was not Dan's fault, bless him, but that was always the thing I used to say. Dan, don't tell me the name of the monster when Adam starts describing it, because I don't know what it is. Okay, and I have this genuine sense of wonder.
Yeah, I love it. There's always that one guy that tells me, I know exactly what this is. And you're like, okay, well then shut up for 10 minutes while I figure this out for myself.
Okay, don't stab it. Right.
Don't stab it. Don't get anywhere near it. It's got a 10-foot cake. Can you shut up? I want to actually enjoy this and interact. And the DM's probably like, can you shut the fuck up? Shut up. But again, I feel like that's how humans are. So if you clearly define your goals, what you want, what your experience in life is, it's going to make those interactions a little bit easier and a little bit more lifelike and real.
Yeah.
You as a human of only 16, my human character was 22. She knows shit. And she experienced a lot in a very short period of time. But that, I feel, is what humans are, because they know that that's all they're going to experience.
Yeah.
So they're going to revel it and they're going to love it.
And in a medieval time, too, 22 is middle-aged.
Yeah.
Right? You've been an adult for nearly a decade.
Yeah. You're almost done.
You're having your 10th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear. But yeah, I feel like that's...
Never mind. Humans are fucked up. Don't play a human.
Yeah. I feel like they're the hardest and yet one of the easiest ones to play, depending on how detailed you get into why your character is doing what it's doing.
There's a really weird dichotomy to this, isn't there?
Yeah. So at the same time, I want to say it's a really good intro character to play because you as a human kind of understand humans and how they operate. But at the same time, you as a human don't know how you're going to react when you see a fucking dragon.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like elves. It's like you can be like whatever they do. You're like, oh, that's so elvish. But it's like a human to fight for a cause. You're like, oh, that's so human. But a human to also kill a baby. You're like, that's so human.
That's very human as well.
Yeah.
So
Typical human.
yeah, you can almost make any choice that you want, but you will be clearly defined as that character when you make that choice. You don't have another 600 years to change it.
So, do you guys have a single NPC idea for a human?
Sure. Should we go same order?
Yeah, let's go the same order.
So you can go first.
Honestly, I've been holding back on this for the entire episode, but humans are your cultists, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? I don't think I need to say any more than that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
like when you have a cultist,
There's no elf that suddenly goes, do you know what? You're right. That might be the answer.
Humans, yes.
you do have the occasional like, oh, he's a dwarf that prays to this demon lord or whatnot, but he stands out as specifically being a dwarf that does this. That's unique and strange, so we remember him.
Yeah.
But your generic cultist number 3 is just a bald human in a black robe with a wand.
Yeah.
Right.
With a different accent color depending on who it is. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a second level laser lotus, so he's got like blue trim on the black robe. So, but that's what it is. They're cultists.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of an NPC that kind of plays on the chaotic nature of humans in that their ideologies and their opinions are always sort of changing. In very recent history, we think it's only a couple of decades ago that everybody knew that we didn't like these people, and how dare you be in love with another man, burn him, and now we're like, no, like it changes. But I like the idea of an NPC that will kind of embody that, and I kind of take it from a friend of mine from years ago. Back in 2013, she was the person that, woke up with the gluten allergy, and then she kind of did CrossFit for a bit, and then she went and did slacklining, and then she played disc golf, and if you didn't know what disc golf was, you were lame-o, and then she was kind of rock climbing, and then kind of changed all the time, and I want that in an NPC. Somebody who...
Every time you come back to town, they've got a new hobby?
Well, humans... no, that changes their ideology all the time, because humans are stubborn, but are also easily influenced. So it's I've influenced you. They meet Brandon, who's a white guy with dreadlocks, and he convinces them to become vegan. And so now that's what they do. And now we're over here. No, but then all of a sudden they're paleo because we're easily influenced, but we're also very stubborn. And I want that in an NPC.
I want to combine the two, and I want to have the cultist that just like immediately goes, okay, hands up. I do not want to die for this shit. I just got suckered in by it. I'm going to go. Thanks very much. And they let him go.
Yeah.
And then the next time that they find a different cult, it's the same guy going, you guys, hey, am I doing it right? No?
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. All right. I'm just going to leave. Hands in the air. That's it. I'm walking away.
Yeah.
And every time that you come to a new kingdom, it is the same NPC wearing a different hat or different flag.
Yes,
or
right. It's flying a different flag. Exactly it. Okay. We've decided that although we're going to kill these people, it is wrong for us to eat them afterwards. Can we all agree on that? Yes. Okay.
Now.
We're now no longer eating them.
Oh my god. I love it. I like the idea of just like the small interactions like with your current team of like your rogue that's sneaking around and your paladin's like, I can fucking do that. Just like start trying to sneak around like an asshole, being like, I'm really good. I've watched you do it like twice, which means I can really actually do it.
Exactly.
So
I have heard players at the table say, I've been in a party with the rogue now for 3 weeks. Can I have advantage on stealth? And the answer is fucking no.
No.
But that is the most human thing to do.
That's like being like, it's like going, my uncle was like a Navy SEAL, so I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But as a DM, you're like, you can try. Roll for it. I think for NPCs for humans, this is the perfect one to do that weird trope of, because we hate each other as humans, so we probably don't stay with our families for very long. We'll leave and fuck off and do our own thing. Yeah. So this is the one where you will find the cousin or the brother or the sister of the same family line in every city you visit.
Right.
So you'd have the same last name as your players ask for names, but it'd be like, oh, you know my cousin in this city X, Y, and Z over here. He's the merchant of that area, but I'm the merchant here and I'm better than him. So let me give you a better deal. Right? This is the perfect trope to play on that because they'll want to travel, they'll want to leave, they'll want to do their own thing. They'll go wherever they want, but you'll meet this basically the same person thinking they're better than the last person you met.
Yeah.
It's funny you say this, and now I remember that a couple of campaigns ago, I had one family. Jamie's character, Boar, really liked this guy. He was a butcher. And you guys saved him in the first session because there were a bunch of NPCs being attacked by direwolves. And he was with the group, and he had a nephew with him. And they were 2 refugee survivors. And then they founded a new town, and he became one of the bartenders. And then it was discovered that he had 7 other siblings littered around the map that you could go find. And they would have these little deals for you over here, but every one of them was a different personality and a different role, and like they weren't all butchers. They were all very different, and they didn't like each other a lot of the time, and we never got to explore it. We only ever found one more,
Right.
and then that guy just died almost immediately. So I was really excited to play with that, and now I'm thinking I should just do that with so many more humans.
Yeah.
I thought at the time I was being unique, but again, very specific, but that's really generically human as well.
Yeah.
So, very last thing then, do you have a character build that interests you? Like, we kind of went through this before. What is an interesting way of looking at a human for a player character?
And you get to go first. Ask yourself.
Yeah.
God damn it.
What is your answer?
I'm gonna lean on the cultist idea again. I'm gonna go with Warlock. I just see humans with the short lifespan. They are going to reach out and try to gain as much power as possible for the least amount of effort.
Yeah.
And so Warlock makes a lot of sense. And if they've got a little bit of a longer sight, then they may go Druid because of the extended lifespan that Druids get as well. Right? But I think that they're going to look outside of society and what is okay to try to get that power grab and that long life and see how things are working from that angle.
Yeah. Yeah.
True enough.
Yeah. Me next, right?
Yeah.
I like the idea of a backstory for a human where, for whatever reason, they've either been resurrected or awakened or unpetrified or something, and so they're presumed to be this very wise kind of character, like, oh my god, you're from 1,000 years ago, you must know some things. But they don't. They worked at JJ Bean. But because we're humans and we're arrogant and we always have to try and find that little bit of power over somebody. They're like, yes, I know a lot of things. And they would just make up things. And I can just imagine the DM leaning into that and like rolling history checks or rolling whatever. But really it's like a performance check because you're just going to lie about stuff because you just want everybody else to be impressed by you, because that's very human to do, is to kind of, we inflate our egos, right? And we self-promote a lot. That's why we have Instagram and that type of thing. So just, this idea of this human which is trying to make themselves more important because they've come from the before time.
Yeah.
But really, they don't know anything.
Slightly older
But
than
really,
you. So.
I've actually seen some things, and we used to do it this way. So,
And I like the idea too. If they don't have the answer, they just have the criticism. Like, oh, that's how you brew a potion? Okay, no. If it works for you, that's fine. Yep. And they don't have an answer. They're just trying to be important.
I feel like in humans, the
Steven
skill
Seagal.
of faking it till you make it is definitely
Yeah.
how we roll
100%.
as humans.
And it's one of those things that all humans kind of agree on. That's absolutely right. Everybody should fake it till there's like 7 billion people walking around pretending they know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, that's me every day in my life. So I feel like that's something to play on a lot.
Yeah,
so that would work.
I was one of the business accounts I look after. I was talking to the guy in charge there, and you know how people like take advice and whatever. And I was like, like my friend gave me this bit of advice, and it was like a financial thing. And he was like, "Oh, is your friend a millionaire?" And I was like, no. And he was like, well, don't listen to them. Don't listen to any of them on financial stuff. They don't know what they're talking about. And it's so cute. I was like, and it kind of really resonated with me. I was like, most of us are just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's so human to do. Let me give you a little bit of advice.
Yeah.
Okay?
I've got an answer for you.
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. My car payment's late. But you should definitely invest in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me talk about investing, but I've never invested in anything in my life.
Exactly.
My idea for like either an NPC, or I really wanted to go in the direction of we don't use humans enough as big bads, in my opinion. We always go towards your classic, like the dragon is evil, or the warlock is after everyone, or like the tiefling, the darker.
It's a lich, it's a drow.
Something, right? So why the hell can't a human be all of those things?
Mm-hmm.
Because in my mind, that is the direction they are going, whether they notice it or not.
Evil Wizard of Oz.
Right? So if you were going to build a human character, I feel like you almost have to, and what I would want to do in my future is move away from my innate nature to want to make a better human than I am.
Yeah.
And just play into the fact that they are inherently evil.
Yeah.
Right? So I would almost want to build a warrior or a fighter, that your generic human character. But to your point, Adam, they want that power quick, fast, build that warlock, what have you. But your goal is actually inherently evil. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I've never, my personal self has never played a human character that way. I've always wanted to make a lawful good human to be a better person than I am. And I'm just like, fuck it. After reading all of this, I was like, no. I want to build a character that specifically is human in nature, and human in nature is inherently evil. We destroy, we obliterate.
We're greedy.
We're greedy.
Prideful.
We fake it till we make it on a regular basis. Like, I would want to play a character that just leaned into that. Because I think it would be difficult for me as a person, because I would really, really want to continue to try and do good things. But really, you are not.
What about, Megan, and I feel this needs to be asked, if you enjoyed it?
Oh, okay. We don't need to make more Terrys in the world. Listen, Slytherin, you need to calm the fuck down over there.
I am definitely a Hufflepuff in life.
Can't make an omelet without cracking a few heads.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that I just feel bad about myself for being a human, that's it for this episode. The next time we circle back to discussing D&D races, we're going to be addressing half-elves. So, a half step better than human. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as dozens of other podcast apps. You can also find us at www.itsamimic.com or email us at info@itsamimic.com. Thanks for listening to the It's a Mimic podcast, and make sure to check us out next week when we're covering sorcerers with a special guest star.
Oh, is it me?
No.
No, you're not on that episode, and you know it.
You've reached the end of another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. Connect with us at itsamimic.com. Don't forget to subscribe and hit those share buttons. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.
Okay, so we have been talking about freaking humans for way too long, considering what the actual mechanical benefits are here. In your opinion, guys, are there too many kinds of humans? Was this overkill for Forgotten Realms and D&D and Wizards of the Coast?
Are you going first, Megan?
I could.
Do you want to roll for it?
Sure. I got 7.
18.
14.
Yes,
Sweet.
you are going first.
I didn't realize there were other types of humans at first. As a D&D player, I said, cool, humans, this is what I am. I choose my own skin tone, I do my own thing, this is great.
Yeah.
I did not realize there was so much back history to being able to choose a different type of human. When I went into it, then I said to myself, this is too many. But I guess it makes sense for us to try and make ourselves special snowflakes as humans, but at the same time, it was a lot.
Yeah. I think, who's going next? Adam?
Yeah,
next.
no, that's me. I look at the Shou or Shou, I'm never going to pronounce it right, which is the Asian archetype, but it's very Chinese. And by trying to be inclusive, they've excluded others as well, because there's no Japanese, variant. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. You're trying to be as inclusive as possible, but why not just write down, here are the potential skin tones, hair colors, eye colors, mix and match, build your own.
Yeah. Because then you're not only you simplifying it there, but you're also not mirroring something else and probably improperly, and so it's a little bit of a safer option. Because if you're doing something like you just said, like an Asian archetype, for me as a Caucasian man, there are those safe accents to do when playing a character, and then there's the ones that I really should not attempt to do.
I will do German and Russian all day,
Exactly.
and that's about as far south as I'm willing to go.
That's it, exactly.
That,
but sometimes I'm watching all of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies again recently, and I would love like a Calypso type character, but I'm not going to try and pull that off. Because I'm just going to massively offend a lot of people. But when you mirror something so obviously, I think you're causing more problems than not. Because you're right, because you're discluding some people, and it's almost like you're setting people up for a trap, as opposed to just saying, here's a list of eye colors and skin tones, mix and match, and go from there, and don't try and mirror anything in particular.
No, I hear what you're saying, but why couldn't we have just called these kingdoms? Peoples of kingdoms, and not sub-races?
Yes.
We need to stop saying race and start saying species in the first place.
Yeah. Or I like the idea of like kingdoms, or like you're part of this particular hierarchy, or what have you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Perfect timing, whoever scheduled this episode. Jesus Christ.
Dan. Just passing the buck on that one.
I blame Dan.
Give Dan 5 seconds of silence.
Because he died.
Would you tease me like that? Fine.
Oh.
Thank you for listening to an It's a Mimic production.
Okay, you're done. Get it.